Time is running out for Fordham women's basketball as they enter the final month of conference play. The Rams sit 13th in the Atlantic 10 and are desperate for a win to climb the standings. Transfer Alexis Black has continued to shine in her first season in the Bronx, but her efforts alone haven't been enough to change the result. Fordham has dropped 9 of its last 10, a stretch that's left the Rams searching for answers. Tonight offers a chance, though. A chance to earn just their second conference win and steady the ship before it's too late. But in their way is Loyola Chicago. The Ramblers come in red hot, winners of 4 straight, with their eyes firmly set on a top 4 seed in the A10. Do the Rams snap their 4-game skid and breathe new life into their season? Or do the Ramblers keep rumbling on their way to a 5th consecutive victory? It's the battle of the Jesuits. It's Fordham versus Loyola Chicago, and it starts now on WFUV Sports. Welcome into the historic Rose Hill Gymnasium on a chilly Wednesday night for an A10 women's basketball game between the Fordham Rams and the visiting Loyola Chicago Ramblers. I'm Thomas Tisdale, joined alongside by Nathan Rogers. Nathan, Fordham's looking to pick up their second conference win tonight. How important is tonight's game for Fordham as they look to build some momentum to start February?
Yeah, exactly. February is a monumental month of basketball for college basketball, women's and men's, looking into March Madness in March. And look, this Fordham team's been struggling. They're 1-10 in conference, but it's such a deep league in the A10. Anything can happen at any moment. It's all about momentum. And for this Fordham team, 7 games left. You got a month left of basketball. You've been dealing with injuries on and off. The best thing you can do is scratch off a win today against a team that is very subpar in a deep league like the A10. They can get away with a win here, and it would be a great momentum shift.
Yeah, tonight's importance really just can't be overstated for Fordham. And we got to catch up with Coach Mitchell ahead of tonight's game. Take a listen. Thomas Tisdale and Nathan Rogers here with Fordham coach Bridget Mitchell ahead of tonight's game against Loyola Chicago. Coach, it's the final month of conference play, only 7 games left in the regular season. Can you just speak to the importance of consistent effort when you have players battling injuries and, the difficulties of general fatigue as we sort of reach the home stretch?
Yeah, this is the time, crunch time. This is what you did all the crying, sweat, tears for all summer long. This is that month, right, as we gear up for March Madness. And so, we're battling a good amount of injuries, and our mental fortitude is being tested, but we still have to come out here and perform and do what we've been practicing to get ready for this point.
You guys are second in the league and top 50 in the nation in bench points per game. How important is strength in numbers going to be tonight, especially down the stretch?
Yeah, we are pretty high in that number because our bench is what we're down to, right? In terms of our personnel, we don't have very much depth due to injuries and so forth. And I think that for us, I think it's really important for our team to know that your contributions matter, right? And so, yes, we're going to magnify and be excited about the positive ones, but equal with the turnovers, right? Or equal with the missed possessions. And so I think that for us to be as highly ranked as we are, it's the contributions of everyone.
Loyola Chicago admits their 4-game winning streak is still struggling to keep opponents off the offensive glass. How important is crashing the glass in your game plan tonight?
Yeah, it's important. We pride ourselves in our ability to offensive rebound. We're going to try to turn those into points tonight.
They have the lowest ranked defense in the A10. They got some holes in their defense, but really good guards too. What's the scouting report look like on them? How are you guys going to take advantage of that?
Yeah, so they've been mixing up a bit, playing their zone as well as their man. So we prepared for that, just in terms of moving our guards so that they can be more of the facilitators and finding each other. And I think that the biggest is our ability to play inside out. Our posts have shown that they have an opportunity. They have the skill set to score. So we're going to try to exploit that. And when they collapse in the paint, we have to be ready to catch and knock down the shot. They collapse in the paint a lot, which is why, right, like in terms of their defense and what they do scheming-wise, we got to hit the open shot.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. Tip-off between Fordham and Loyola Chicago is next on WFUV Sports. Don't go anywhere.
I'm Kurt Sippel, telling you to tune into One on One, New York's longest-running sports call-in show. Catch us live every Saturday on our WFUV Sports YouTube Live from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and later on 90.7 WFUV from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. We break down the week's latest headlines with our collection of tri-state area beat reporters, along with interviews with your favorite athletes and media personalities. WFUV is your home to talk all things New York sports.
Hello everyone, I'm Trey Rodriguez, calling you to tune in to WFUV Sports One-on-One, New York's longest running sports call-in show. We're live every Saturday on YouTube from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and later at night on 90.7 FM from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. We cover the latest news in the sports world with our wide range of beat reporters, as well as exclusive interviews with your favorite athletes. We'll see you next Saturday on One-on-One.
And we welcome you back in to the Rose Hill Gymnasium. We're just a couple moments away from tip-off here between the Fordham Rams and the Loyola Chicago Ramblers. Nathan, both teams started conference play 0-3, but have since gone very different directions. Loyola has won 6 of their last 7, while Fordham has only picked up 1 conference win this season. What are your keys to the game, and what does Fordham need to do in order to pick up a win tonight?
Yeah, on a box score, just purely looking at numbers, Loyola Chicago is a subpar A10 team, but their only 4 Atlantic 10 losses have come against the league's top 4 teams. Rhode Island, their first, George Mason, their second, Richmond, third, and Davidson, their fourth. So this team is stacked, and they have a lot of talent. We got 3 keys to the games here. The first one for Fordham is second chance points. Fordham is 16th in the nation in offensive rebounding, but struggles with second chance points. It's been a thing all season. Yes, they've been dealing with injuries, but kicking it out after they get an offensive rebound is something they've been struggling with. So Loyola has a -5 rebound margin. It's going to be something they need to capitalize on to generate some offense. Secondly, they got to turn defense into offense. Fordham is 73rd in the country in steals per game and 63rd in the country in forced turnovers. They got to speed up their guards and play at their own tempo. And lastly, Thomas, they got to win the efficiency battle. Both teams are subpar in three-point percentage. So it'll be a game of shot selection, but also empty possessions. Can you force those empty possessions for Loyola Chicago? And Fordham needs to trim turnovers and not send Loyola to the charity stripe for those easy buckets.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more on all 3 of those points. This is a bit of a strange game because Fordham has at times been able to piece together stretches of really strong play, but just hasn't been able to quite get the result and put it all together into one coherent game. While Loyola Chicago, I think their record is a little bit misleading at times. They're dead last in the A10 in points per game, like you mentioned, 7th in scoring defense, 13th in scoring margin, and yet they're 6-4. They're looking to punch their way into a top 4 seed for Loyola Chicago. Nathan, going into this game, we've talked a lot about Fordham and what they can do offensively. How important is a fast start here for Fordham?
Exactly. We talked to Coach B before the game, and she said for that first 10 minutes, the key to the game is make the simple pass. Loyola Chicago's guards are they're small, but they're feisty. They're very physical out in that perimeter. They like to trap on that low block once you try to collapse into those driving lanes. What Fordham needs to do is make that simple pass, have a cutter that goes into the other side of that block, get an easy bucket. So it's going to be strength in numbers for this Fordham team that's been dealing so well without their star player, Alexis Black, for almost now a month. And obviously she's been back for the last few games, but they're going to have everyone, they're going to have 4 people in double digits tonight to take away a strong Ramblers team and, again, turn defense into offense. It's all about momentum for this team, especially out of those breaks, out of those timeouts and media timeouts and coming off each quarter. They like to be flat-footed, but they got to have the energy and efficiency up high.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just a few seconds away from tip-off. Fordham's already out there, so we'll just run through their lineup for you. Karen Easley, the freshman, she's going to be a focal point of this offense. Alexis Black in her 4th game back from that ankle injury. She's in as well. Lucretia Edwards, the junior, 0 points last time out. Emma Wilson-Saltos and Kayla Berry round out the Rams starting lineup. While looking at Loyola Chicago, Alexis Kinnis gets the start. Alex Ann Bissett, the freshman from Ontario, Kira Shivers, Alexis Mobley, and Clara Joku. And Emma Wilson-Saltos gets the tip. Kayla Berry misses the layup, gets her offensive rebound, forces up another shot, gets her rebound. Karen Easley back out with the ball. Karen Easley taking her time. 10 seconds left on the shot clock. Kayla Berry finds Wilson-Saltos down low. Guarded closely. And it looks like
a double dribble there.
Loyola
Chicago forces a turnover in Fordham's first offensive possession, but they're opening up with a full court press, something that Coach B likes to do to put pressure early on the Ramblers.
Kennis with the ball for Loyola Chicago. Finds Bissett. Finds Shiver, the senior from Illinois. Back to Shivers. Takes the screen. Mobley to Shivers. Shot clock winding down. Bissett dribbling on Kayla Berry. A little scrum on the floor. Emma Wilson-Saltos picks it up. And a shot clock violation called on Loyola Chicago. A great opening defensive possession for the Rams.
Yeah, some bodies hitting the deck early. That's like we like to see if you're Coach B and the Fordham coaching staff. Trading turnovers here early. See if Fordham can open up a set here. Get Emma Wilson-Saltos involved down low.
Lucretia Edwards sizing her defender up. Finds Alexis Black. Focal point of this offense. Kicks it back out to Lucretia. Finds Kayla Berry. Back to Alexis Black. Takes the screen. Takes the step back three. Off back iron. A scrap there for the bucket. Kayla Berry's slow to get back, and a foul there called against Lucretia Edwards. Loyola Chicago does a great job there, pushing the pace, able to draw the shooting foul. And it's Alexis Mobley, the grad student, is on the line, looking to pick up her first points of tonight's contest.
Yeah, early the Ramblers like to play at their own pace, and Fordham's going to have to play their own half-court offense to deal with a high-paced Ramblers offense like they do. And look, they can't, if you're the Fordham Rams, you can't let them get to the charity stripe and get those easy buckets for profit early. They're just going to absolutely kill the Fordham defense.
She makes both her free throws. Karen Easley trying to push the pace here. Guarded by Shivers. Easley still has it. Moving left to right. Takes the screen from Wilson-Saltos. And a travel called there against Karen Easley. A lot of energy being brought by Fordham, but just the execution just hasn't been quite there. They're down 2-0, 8:21 left in the first quarter.
And look, Karen Easley's been that vocal point of this offense ever since Alexis Black has been out, and she's been great.
Mobley with the three, contested well there by Wilson-Saltos. And Kayla Berry able to bring down the rebound. Karen Easley finds Black, back to Alexis Black, sizing up her defender. Lucretia Edwards with the three. No good, but Wilson-Saltos with the offensive rebound and the tough finish, drawing the foul and one for Wilson-Saltos. And again, another offensive rebound for the Rams early.
Time and time again, Emma Wilson-Saltos is the X factor of this Fordham Rams team, flying in like Thor of Ragnarok, like the Avengers, and grabbing that offensive rebound. Again, Fordham is 16th in the country in offensive rebounds, and we talk about those second chance points. We saw it there on display, and an and one opportunity here for Emma Wilson-Saltos early.
Yeah, it was clearly a focus of Fordham to continue crashing the offensive glass. Wilson-Saltos knocks down her free throw, and Fordham grabs the lead, 3-2, 7:55 left in this first quarter. Mobley guarded by Easley, finds Shivers, slowing things down. Back to Shivers, finds Kinnis, finds Joku, back to Kinnis. Mobley driving, a tough finish there from Mobley, able to twist her body around the defender there, and she makes it.
Yeah, Mobley, the freshman guard, She's 5'10", but she really plays like she's almost 6'2", and she's so fast, but really keeps this offense for the Ramblers stabilized.
Tough screen there by Kayla Berry. Knocks Kinnis to the floor, but an errant pass for Alexis Black means Loyola Chicago now has the ball. Tia Morgan checks in for Karen Easley. Bissett to inbound for Loyola Chicago. Still, Fordham using the full court press, traps Kinnis down low. Kinnis able to knock the ball off of Lucretia Edwards there, but Fordham bringing the intensity, trying to bring the intensity on the defensive end.
Yeah, and when we talked to Coach B before the game too, she wanted to pride her team on not sticking away from that one-on-one coverage. They wanted to stick with this man-on-man and not have to rely and step back into that zone, kind of drop coverage and have to surprise them. So they're going to stick with this man-on-man defense, and if you're Coach B, you love that one-on-one defense, especially with that guard Kinnis up top.
Kinnis, guarded by Nyankin. Held ball there. Great defense from Alexis Black. She's the focal point of the Fordham offense, but she can certainly get it done on the defensive end. Possession arrow with Loyola Chicago, so the Ramblers retain the ball. Finding Bissett. Finds Kinnis, guarded by Lucretia Edwards. The three, it's good for Alexis Kinnis. Able to knock it down, and Loyola Chicago extends their lead. 7-3, 6:37 left in this first quarter.
Yeah, Thomas, just a simple on-ball screen there by Bissett that gave Kinnis just enough breathing room for her to get that shot off and resulted in a dagger of a three.
Tia Morgan finding Wilson Saltos. Wilson Saltos driving, spin move. Finds Tia Morgan in the corner. Corner three is good. Fordham answers right back. It's now 6-7. 6:10 left in this first quarter. Tia Morgan desperately needs to get something going on offense, and she knocks down her first shot.
And Timo is clutch. She hit that dagger in that opener versus Adelphi. And look, she's praised internally for getting the group to buy in every day. And Coach B's mentality is get 2% better every day. And Timo is the epitome of that statement.
Kinnis was looking to have another three there. Passes to Bissett. Guarded by Tia Morgan. Bissett, a little spin move. A little floater, unable to get it to drop, but an offensive rebound collected by Joku, who finds Kinnis, and she's able to knock it down. Alexis Black pushing the pace, driving on Kinnis. Little floater, no good. Just a little bit short there for the transfer from Appalachian State.
Fordham doing a good job defensively of winding the shot clock down and making life hard for the Ramblers, but you got to keep those hands up even when there's 5 seconds left on the shot clock.
Joku encouraged to take the mid-range there. Unable to hit the iron. Alexis Black pushing the pace now for Fordham. Takes the screen from Nyankin. Finds Lucretia Edwards driving baseline. Layup no good. Emma Wilson-Saltos on the glass again. Off the glass and in for Wilson-Saltos. Just being an absolute menace on the offensive glass tonight.
It's like I'm speaking it into existence, Thomas, because my first key to the game was second chance points. And there's already 4 of them. Half their points so far for Fordham are second chance points. So that'll be a absolute pressure makes diamonds moment for Fordham today.
Just elite analysis from, Nathan here. You spoke it into existence, and that's the sort of the weak point for this Loyola Chicago team is keeping their opponents off the glass, even amidst this 4-game winning streak. And we're going to take a timeout now. Loyola Chicago up 9 to Fordham's 8. 4:35 left in this first quarter. A very encouraging opening quarter for Fordham. But we're going to take a step away for just a moment. We'll be right back with more A10 women's basketball after this break.
Hi everyone, I'm Grace McCarran and I'm one of your 2025-26 New York Islanders beat reporters for WFUV Sports. Follow me on X at @GraceMcCarran_ for live game updates, features, and other inside content from the island all season long. From the development of first overall pick Matthew Schaefer to incredible saves by Ilya Sorokin, WFUV Sports has you covered every step of the way as the Isles look towards the postseason. WFUV is your home for New York sports.
And we welcome you back into the historic Rose Hill Gymnasium here in the Bronx, New York. Your Fordham Rams only down by 1. They've got 8 points. Loyola Chicago has got 9 points. 4:35 left in the opening quarter. And we talked to Coach Mitchell before the game about how important it was to get off to a fast start. Last time out against URI, they only scored 4 points in the opening quarter. And I think that was a point of emphasis for Coach B in tonight's game, is they were going to have to get their offense going early, and it certainly seems like they're doing so.
Yeah, you got to set your tone with the defense first. Again, you're going to say it time and time again with this Fordham women's team. Defense turns into offense because A-10's all about momentum. And look, last time out for Fordham Rams, they dropped an 84-65 decision at Richmond, and they just fell behind early and just couldn't get their feet one foot in front of the other after that. And Ornella Yankin led the Rams in scoring while Karen Easley provided a spark defensively, as she always does. But despite a strong effort on the offensive glass, like they have time and time again in conference play, turnovers have been an absolute killer for this team. And if you look at the box score now, they already have 3 to Loyola Chicago's 1. So got to look at that turnover margin, and Coach B hates going over 16. So 16 is your magic number there, and you can't get over that number. So keep your turnovers at a minimum in that first half so you can really rely on your shooters on the perimeter like Lucretia Edwards and Timo, and help Alexis Black out, but she's absolutely getting suffocated out on the perimeter by Kinnis. So going to have strength in numbers and share the rock like a top potato.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a credit to Loyola Chicago, and they've been doing it throughout this 4-game winning streak, is they've been forcing their opponents to turn the ball over. Opponents are averaging just over 19 turnovers per game during this win streak for the Ramblers. And it's Alexis Mobley to inbound for Loyola Chicago as they look to get something going on the offensive end. She finds Brooklyn Vaughn, who finds Shivers, guarded by 2. Mobley guarded by Veljovic. Vaughn with the tough shot there, guarded by Omashola, and Omashola forces, a pretty bad shot. Tia Morgan finds Kayla Berry. Veljovic now driving, finds Kayla Berry again. Back to Morgan. Finds Veljovic in the corner, driving baseline. Short on the layup, gets her offensive rebound. Throws up the wild shot again, and Loyola Chicago is able to collect.
Again, great suffocating defense for the Ramblers down low. That's what they like to do. Whenever a Ram has a ball on that low block, they're going to suffocate and trap. And Fordham has to do a better job of kicking out to the perimeter and trusting their shooters like we said before.
Shivers passes to Mobley. Cross-court pass. Mercil finds Joku. And a block there by Veljovic. It's still Loyola 9, Fordham 8. 3:20 left in this first quarter.
Anastasia Veljovic has been a absolute monumental shifter in this defensive front for the Fordham Rams. And look, she's a sophomore with size, but she really helps out with that guard spot.
Mason Hill finds Tia Morgan. 10 seconds left on the shot clock. Takes the screen from Omashola. Tia Morgan driving, step back 3 is good again. Tia Morgan gives the Rams the lead. It's Fordham 11, Loyola Chicago 9. Just under 3 minutes left to play in this first quarter.
Oh my goodness, nothing's open. I'm going to do it myself. Timo, step back, Jay, right in her eye. How about that, Thomas?
Yeah, just a lethal shot. And Tia Morgan certainly feeling herself here tonight. She's already got 6 points.
Fordham sticking to man-on-man. They're going to love this for the first 10 minutes, like we talked to Coach B before. Force them into a late shot clock shot.
Mercil driving, finds Joku, but out of bounds. It was blocked there by Kayla Berry, it looks like. But then she touched the ball out of bounds. I'm not sure what the call is there, because Loyola's Chicago shot certainly didn't hit rim.
Coach Allison Guth absolutely frustrated erratically on the almost timeline of the court on that Fordham D in the middle of the court here, screaming at her team to pass the ball. And Fordham doing such a good job of just patiently waiting and playing that good, suffocating defense and allowing them to get downhill, but keeping those hands up high, Statue of Liberty defense.
Tia Morgan now finds Alexis Black. Alexis Black, three. No good, short there. Emma Wilson-Saltos fighting on the offensive glass, and it's out on a Loyola Chicago player. Emma Wilson-Saltos just did. I mean, she's a demon when it comes to those offensive rebounds. I mean, she is that X factor for this offense. Alexis Black inbounding, finds Veljovic. Back to Black. Top of the key, takes the screen from Omoshola. Hard screen there. Mobley was trying to fight through that, and a foul called there on the grad student for Loyola Chicago, Alexis Black, to inbound for Fordham.
Fordham with 20 on the shot clock, 2 minutes remaining. They're up by 2 and doing a good job of holding close within striking distance, hitting some clutch shots, but leaning on their hot shooters like Timo and even Alexis Black as well.
Seemingly a miscommunication there by Loyola Chicago. Tia Morgan had almost too much time, not able to get the shot off, and Alexis Black drives. And it's knocked out on Alexis Black. A strong defensive possession for the Ramblers. Fordham still up by 2, 11-9, with a minute 45 left here in this open period. Kinnis with the ball for the Ramblers. Guarded by Veljovic. Kinnis still. Very patient offense for Loyola Chicago. Finds Hendricks. Down low to Vaughn. Guarded by Kayla Berry. Mobley trying to make something happen there, but strong physical defense there by Kayla Berry, and it's out on the Rambler.
Yeah, Thomas, the Ramblers' offense just looks absolutely confused, and talked about communication in basketball. It's just a fundamental thing, and it just looks so apprehensive so far. Can't get anything going beyond the perimeter with any picks to help Kinnis out. She's absolutely getting suffocated beyond the arc. And they're going to try to get this full court press going to kind of slow down the Fordham offense. But if you're Coach B, got to play your own half-court offense. Again, get those pick and rolls going and can't turn over the ball.
Yeah, almost a turnover there by Tia Morgan. Able to collect her own ball. Passes to Wilson-Saltos. Back to Tia Morgan. Guarded by Kinnis. Takes the screen. Finds Kayla Berry. Down low to Emma Wilson-Saltos. 3 seconds left. A bit of a circus shot there from Wilson-Saltos. Almost over the backboard, but is able to get it to drop. Fordham up 13-9. 40 seconds left here in the first quarter.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would have taken that shot if I was playing horse, but with 2 seconds on the shot clock, kind of had to throw up a miracle there. And how about a swish for the Fordham Rams?
Yeah, just a really impressive shot there from Wilson-Saltos. Foul called there on it looks like Kayla Berry. Or no, on Alexis Black, excuse me. But Loyola Chicago is known for their very patient offense, and I think Fordham, I think, is really taking it to this offense. Nothing easy, and they just really haven't any really easy looks here. Charging foul there called against Bassett. A little bit of an awkward exchange there between Marcille and Bassett, and Bassett just ends up running through Tia Morgan.
Yeah, great physical contact there and laying out your body on the line at the end of the first quarter, which is a quarter that this Fordham Rams team has been so up and down with throughout the whole entire conference play season. A way to lay out your body for your team and allow your team to get the ball with 10 seconds remaining.
Yankin, 10 seconds left on the shot clock, turns it over. Foul called there on Alexis Black. They were scrapping for the ball. Alexis Black looks a little frustrated with that call. I'm sure she would have liked to have that last shot of the quarter. About 6 seconds left. Fordham still up 13-9.
Yeah, Ramblers beyond the Arc have such active hands, and they're just disrupting everything named Alexis Black today and sparking a little bit of defensive energy for them. And Alexis Black has to figure out a way to kind of lean on that pick and roll with their bigs and get the ball moving.
Kennis with the ball now. Finds Vaughn. Travel called there against Vaughn. Just really the epitome, I would say, for this Loyola Chicago offense so far. About 2.1 seconds left. Let's see if Fordham can get off a shot. They'll have to go the full length of the floor. Karen Easley guarded well, unable to get their shot off. But a great opening quarter, I would say, for this Fordham Rams team. They're up by 4, 13-9 against a Loyola Chicago team that came in with a little bit of momentum, with a little bit of swagger. But Fordham doing a great job being physical on defense, and they've been able to knock down the shots when they need to.
Yeah, they're holding a great shooting team like Loyola Chicago is to just around 30% shooting, and it's great to see. One thing to keep in mind, though, is they can't let them get to the charity stripe, get that easy profit. They're doing a good job so far of sticking to that man-on-man. Let's see how fruitful that is in the second quarter. Sometimes you have to lean off of it, drop down to that drop coverage to kind of surprise the opponent, but Coach V talked before the game, she doesn't want to do that too early. She doesn't want to rely on that zone defense early. Got to stick to your one-on-one coverage, and look, Alexis Black is 0 for 3, 0 for 1 beyond the arc, and 2 fouls with 2 turnovers. She's been just disrupted mentally and physically out there, and she has to kind of get downhill more and get to that basket. Again, when we talked to Coach B before the game, what do they like to do most? The Ramblers, they just trap. They trap. And if you have a cutter come across, whether that be Timo, Lala, Alexis Black, anybody, Veljovic, pass them the ball, go up, maybe get a foul. That's what we saw with Emma Wilson-Saltos earlier with those second chance points. Got to keep doing what works, pass that ball around, and keep doing what you've been doing.
Yeah, keep doing what they've been doing. I think that has to be the message for Coach B between quarters here. But the question is, will they be able to do so? Fordham just, for the most part, has been unable to put together a complete game performance. But we're going to step away for just a moment. Fordham up 13 to Loyola Chicago's 9. We'll have the second quarter after this. But first, we'll head down to the one-on-one, to the Rose Hill studio for the one-on-one scoreboard with Ethan Wax. Ethan, take it away.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Let's take a look at some scores around the A10 women's scoreboard. St. Joseph's has a tall task today as they visit Rhode Island. The Rams squad is sitting at a perfect 10-0, so it will be a tall test to dethrone them in their building. St. Joseph's leads 19-18 after the first quarter. Davidson squares off against St. Bonaventure's in Bonnytown. Davidson leads 16-12 with 1:05 to go in the first quarter. Dayton takes their 4-7 conference record into Philly to take on LaSalle. The Explorers are exploring for a dub. The game starts at 6:30 tonight. Richmond travels to St. Louis, where the Spiders of Richmond takes their 8-1 conference record, only lost to the Rhode Island Rams. The game is at 8 o'clock tonight. That's all for now. I'm Ethan Wax with your one-on-one scoreboard.
Welcome back to the Rose Hill Gymnasium. Fordham 13, Loyola Chicago 9. But before we get into the second quarter action, we're joined by the third person of our 3-person crew here tonight. Mary Hannah Gallagher is our sidelines reporter. Mary Hannah, what do you have for us?
Thank you, Thomas. Well, yeah, it was a pretty rough and messy start for Fordham today, especially in transitioning from getting to the top of the court to the back. But when they're getting back on defense, the coaches have been calling them out on trailing in plays instead of anticipating where Loyola is going next. That awareness and seeing the floor early is going to be key to seeing the rest of this game. But another thing that Fordham staff are calling out is taking away the middle and finding those sweet spots on the court offensively. They've clearly figured out which positions are working best for them, and when they play into that, the points are starting to come. But you can feel the momentum shift on calls like that. Those plays really pick up this team, and you can see it translate immediately into better execution on the floor. Defensively, the message has been pretty simple: shoulder tap and be on your player and make her yours. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for that, Mary Hannah. While she was giving us that fantastic report, And an inside look into the Fordham huddle. Lucretia Edwards able to get her own rebound after being blocked and is able to knock it down. Fordham up 15-9 with 9 minutes left in this second quarter. Karen Easley pushing the pace for Fordham, finds Lucretia Edwards down the baseline, unable to get to the fall. Emma Wilson-Saltos fighting for the ball, but a travel called there against Wilson-Saltos. But the energy level, again and again, Wilson-Saltos just being a game wrecker for this Rams team.
Yeah, a trend for this Fordham women's team has been getting those travel calls called against them time and time again, and it's where they pick up that ball off that dribble and they move that pivot foot before they get that first foot moving. They're going to call that every time. It's been something they've been struggling weirdly throughout the whole entire season, and it's, you know, you could put money on it. That's going to happen about 2 times per game. Kind of sucks offensively, but look, they're keeping the full court pressure on them early and try to disrupt their guards.
Kinnis able to weave through 2 defenders, but just the ball just gets caught up and is unable to pass it out to an outlet, and Karen Easley picks it up. Karen Easley guarded by 2 Ramblers. Cross-court pass to Veljevic. Guarded by Shivers. Little spin. And short there on the layup for Veljevic. Fordham still up 6 with 8:22 left to play.
Yeah, we talked about the Rogers keys to the games before, but how about the Coach B key to the game? Make the simple pass. They've been kind of straying away from that message the last, 2 or 3 minutes here. A lot of ill-advised cross-court passes that are turning into turnovers and just tough shots for the Fordham Rams to make. Got to keep it simple, keep it easy.
Another long possession here for Loyola Chicago. Cross-court pass to Shivers. Her 3 is no good. Kayla Berry on the glass. She had 11 rebounds last time out against URI. One of the lone bright spots for this Fordham team this past Saturday, and she's able to grab the rebound. Karen Easley, guarded by Kinnis. Gets a play from Coach B. About 13 seconds left in the shot clock. Karen Easley still guarded by Kinnis. 8 seconds left. Screen from Wilson-Saltos. Easley driving. Finds Veljevic in the corner. Her 3. Air ball just a little bit too strong there for Veljevic. She has struggled at times to knock down the 3. Only about a 16.7% three-pointer shooter. And Loyola Chicago able to force the shot clock violation.
Yeah, and an important sub that happened about 2 minutes ago, Thomas. Roisin Granberry for the Ramblers. She's 6'4", and she's a sophomore. She's the tallest player on this team, and she's a rim protector. But what she does for the spacing of this Ramblers offense is so key for them. You saw it there on display. They can just dish it out, and shots to open, and they take the lid off the basket because of her presence down low. What Rams are going to have to do is they already subbed out Emma Wilson-Salto. It's going to have to get Precious Omoshola involved more because they have bigger body on her on that low block. Something to keep an eye on early in the second quarter.
Foul called there against Lucretia Edwards, and it was a side out for Loyola Chicago. Kinnis now, guarded by Mason Hill. Bassett driving on Omoshola. Throws up a tough layup there, unable to get it to fall. Mason Hill now bringing it up for Fordham. Guarded by Kinnis. Picks up her dribble. Finds Kayla Berry. Guarded by Bassett. Finds Tia Morgan. Guarded by Shivers. Takes the screen from Omoshola. 5 seconds left in the shot clock. Tia Morgan's going to have to get a shot up. Tries to force the extra pass. Kinnis is able to grab it and is able to take it coast to coast for the easy layup there. And that's one of the turnovers that Fordham just really can't afford as they look to grab a win tonight.
Yeah, and look at Alexa Kinnis. She's been all over these turnovers so far for the Ramblers, and she's a defensive spark plug for a reason. And she's 5'6", but again, she plays so much taller, and she's so feisty. Like Coach B said before the game, the scouting report on her is that she just plays so fast in transition and forces turnovers.
Tia Morgan finds Omoshola down low. Blocking foul there. Called on Alexis Mobley, it looks like. The Loyola bench was not happy with that call with about 2 seconds left in the shot clock. One thing that's important to note as Omoshola goes to the line here is that Loyola Chicago has 11 points, but they've only got 2 scorers. Alexis Kinnis and Alexis Mobley. They've been doing it all for this Ramblers team. And I think that's credit to how strongly this Fordham defense has been so far, really limiting the looks that the Ramblers have been able to generate.
Yeah, for sure. And Fordham has struggled to get to the line as well. Yeah, they might have got kind of the whistle favor on that one, but again, Fordham struggles with getting those easy points off the charity stripe. It's great to see them get to the line in the second quarter and extend the lead. Now 16-11 with just under 6 minutes to go. Emma Wilson Saltos will check in for Omoshola, and they're going to again stick with this even more aggressive full court press where they're trapping up above. It's kind of a box in one kind of look here. Try to disrupt the Ramblers.
They're really trying to slow down this Ramblers offense in a great defensive possession. Shivers tries to find Bassett, but an errant pass. Bassett unable to control it, and it goes out.
It wasn't even really a pass. She kind of like tipped the ball over when no one was even on that far side baseline. I don't even know what that was. But it results in a possession area in favor of the Rams.
Yeah, just looking really discombobulated, this Ramblers offense right now. Tia Morgan finds Lucretia Edwards. Top of the key, driving. Finding Wilson Saltos. Back out to Tia Morgan. Foul called there against Bassett, it looks like. Some off-the-ball extracurriculars on Ornella Yankin. And Fordham hasn't been able to get a ton of good looks here in the second quarter. Gets a little bailed out there. Tia Morgan. Guarded by Shivers. Takes the screen from Yankin. Finds Lucretia Edwards. Driving on her left. Tries to get a three there. Tia Morgan from the logo. Unable to get it to drop. Just off the left rim there. Fordham just struggling to get those easy looks here in the second quarter.
Yeah, again, Ramblers doing a good job of suffocating those driving lanes, taking them away and making life hard for the Rams. Can't get anything going with those screens out front, too. Credit to Kinnis and Mobley as well, just locking down defensively.
Deptula driving on Wilson Saltos, and Wilson Saltos just picks it out of her hand there. Really odd play, but fantastic defense from the senior. Mason Hill driving, little floater. Too strong off the glass and to the left. Finds Kinnis. Kinnis guarded by Lucretia Edwards. Fordham still up 16-11. 4:19 left to play here in the second quarter. Not a ton of offense for either team. Bassett, a long three, and she's able to get it to drop. Only about a 25% three-pointer shooter, but they need to get her going. She's the top scorer on this Ramblers team, and she had no points up until this point. Loyola Chicago cuts the deficit to 2. 4 minutes left to play.
Yeah, cutting Bassett's efficiency down is going to be something that Coach B is going to have to look time and time again, and credit to Fordham Rams defense for doing so.
Tia Morgan guarded by Shivers. 7 seconds left, another long possession. Tia Morgan driving, mid-range shot, no good. Wilson Saltos on the offensive glass, but just too strong on the follow.
Yeah, again, second chance points, just can't get anything going as well. And look, there's already been 9 turnovers so far for the Ramblers, but almost 3 or 4 so far in this quarter, and no points off turnovers for the Rams to show for it. They got to take advantage of what the defense has given them.
Tia Morgan finding Wilson Saltos down low, guarded by the smaller Kinnis, guarded by 2 now. Throws up the tough layup there and is able to get it to drop. Wilson Saltos, strong physical finish there.
And how about Emma Wilson Saltos? She had a spin move on her right foot. She thought she had 1 defender on her. She actually had 2, and it was number 28, Joku. She had her hands up high. It was a tough bucket, but nonetheless, physicality goes over everything here on the basketball court. And we saw it on display there with the X factor of the Fordham Rams, Emma Wilson Saltos.
Bassett guarded by Wilson Saltos. Throws up. I'm not sure if that was a shot or a pass there. Either way, it's a turnover. Fordham forces their 10th turnover there. It looks like they're calling it out on Wilson Saltos there, but that's going to take us to the under 5 media timeout. It's been a quick second quarter. Fordham's up 18 to Loyola Chicago's 14 right now. 2:33 left to play here in the second quarter. Fordham trying to get something going on offense. and really pull away from this Ramblers team. But we're going to take a step away for just a moment. We'll have the rest of the second quarter right after this break. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Carino.
And I'm Joe Henry.
Tune in weekly for NFL Friday, your exclusive WFUV sports podcast for all things National Football League.
We'll be covering everything on and off the gridiron for the biggest sports league in the world every week on Spotify, Apple, and wherever you get your podcast.
Can the Eagles repeat?
Will the Jets or Giants finally take a leap?
What's Shadur up to?
All of that and more on NFL Friday on WFUV Sports.
Welcome back to the historic Rose Hill Gymnasium for an A-10's women's basketball game between the Fordham Rams and the Loyola Chicago Ramblers. I'm Thomas Tisdale, joined alongside, by Nathan Rogers. And it's been a defensive battle here in the second quarter. 5 points apiece for each of the teams. Just over 2.5 minutes left to play here in the second quarter. What's really been the struggle for this Fordham team on offense? They seem to have it clicking in the first quarter, but they've sort of gone away from what was working in that first quarter.
Yeah, for the Fordham Rams, look, shooting beyond the perimeter has been something they've struggled with all year, and they got to be able to pass the rock a little bit more and do it more often. And look, the screens, yes, they're opening up kind of the driving lanes, but they're not physical enough. You got to get up there, put a body on the defender, make sure that they're passing the rock around the perimeter and getting those driving lanes open. Look, each team is shooting a measly kind of around a 30% shooting mark, and that's a clip that, yes, they've kind of been shooting around that mark, but it's been better at times. And look, you're up by 4, can't complain. Keep doing what you're doing on defense, but on offense, you got to share the rock more and get those driving lanes open, because Ramblers doing such a good job beyond the arc of trapping that they really have to get their bigs involved down low. Emma Wilson-Santos has got all of her points in the paint so far off tough buckets. I say keep feeding her.
Yeah, she's been incredible so far tonight. And when the shots aren't falling for her, she still finds a way to be a positive force for this Fordham team. She's dynamic on the glass. She's got 9 points tonight. Tia Morgan is the next closest with 6. And I can't say it's surprising for this Fordham team that they've gone through a bit of a dry spell. They've been susceptible to that at times, but the encouraging sign is that they've still got a 4-point advantage. Loyola Chicago hasn't been able to get anything going on offense, but they're deploying a full court press now. Veljovic finding Mason Hill, back out to Karen Easley, guarded by Shivers. Finds Veljovic on the left. Veljovic driving. Mason Hill, guarded by Bissett. Mason Hill picks up her dribble, finds Kayla Berry. 5 seconds left. Karen Easley driving. And a charging foul there, called on Karen Easley. Again, just another frustrating possession for the Rams where they just weren't able to get really anything going.
Frustrating is the right word there, Thomas. And credit to Alexa Kinnis for forcing another turnover. Again, we're going to talk about her time and time again, but she's 5'8", but again, she's so physical and just disrupts and makes life so hard for the Rams offense. Again, Rams continuing with this full court press. Ramblers doing a better job of slicing it up, but almost a forced turnover there.
Almost a forced turnover indeed. Kinnis, mid-range, unable to get it to drop. Alexis Black pushing the pace. Fordham still up 4. Less than 2 minutes left to play. Alexis Black finding Karen Easley. Karen Easley driving down low. Tries to get the layup to fall. Unable to do so. And a little bit of some confusion there between the refs, but Fordham retains the ball. 20 seconds left on the shot clock.
Looks like they're going to review this, Thomas, and Coach Guth was kind of apprehensive. She had Bissett telling her to review this kind of out of bounds play over here. So they're going to take a look at this. While they do that, though, let's continue to look at this turnover margin, because it's been the storyline during this conference play for the Fordham Rams. And Coach B says we cannot let go of it in that fourth quarter, especially in the second half. But in this first half, they're already up to 9, but they've forced turnovers as well. And if you look at their wins, too, against Bonaventure, and when they play teams like Richmond and those really good teams like Duquesne and Dayton, they've been doing such a good job of forcing those turnovers. But the points off turnovers is that essence of offensive, the generating the offense, and they have to spark a run and turn the defense into offense.
Yeah, I think that's really been a point of emphasis over the past month, has been turning that defense into offense, because Fordham really strong at forcing turnovers, but at the same time, they themselves have turned the ball over way too often, and they've been punished for it in a way that Fordham just hasn't been able to take advantage for the free possessions that they're being given during this 4-game losing streak. The turnover margin is -4 for Fordham, and that's just really just not going to cut it. If you want to find a way to stay competitive in the A-10, to maybe pick up a few wins and be dangerous in March by the time the A-10 tournament rolls around, you're going to have to find a way to take care of the ball and to take advantage of when your opponents are careless with it. And Loyola Chicago's been particularly careless with it. That's not something they're known for, but Fordham's full-court press has been particularly effective tonight.
Waiting on the decision here from the referees. Looks like Loyola Chicago will win the review here. They're still discussing it. Both teams kind of just chatting on midcourt. But I think it's going to be Ramblers' ball. We'll see what the official call is here.
You may be a little bit confused about, the timing of choosing the review a play in the second quarter, but buckets have just been hard to come by for either team, and Loyola Chicago's desperate for any spark they can get, and it looks like, Nathan, you were right, they do win the challenge. Fordham still up 18-14, a minute 37 left to play in this first half. Bissett inbounds to Kinnis, who's easily been the MVP so far tonight. Kinnis.
See if the Ramblers can kind of find the rhythm here. Again, Rams sticking with that man-to-man coverage.
Granberry, the 6'4" sophomore, she's in now. Shivers driving, finds Granberry, the 3. Too strong there, off the glass there, and Alexis Black able to pull down the rebound.
Credit to the Fordham defense for forcing their 6'4" big to take an open 3. That's something that she usually doesn't make, so if you're the Fordham defense, definitely good to see that.
Yeah, a 10% three-point shooter. Alexis Black driving to her left there, throws up the floater, just too short there. Alexis Black just hasn't really been able to find a rhythm. 40 seconds left to go. Fordham still up 18-14. Shivers with the ball now, guarded by Tia Morgan. Bissett now, guarded by Kayla Berry. Granberry down low, guarded by Omashola. Tough spin move. Unable to get it to fall there. Scrap for the ball there. And it looks like it was off Granberry's foot. They're trying to get Granberry involved. She's obviously got a size advantage.
Great defense by Omashola and getting those two hands up. Way to stay vertical, even though Granberry does such a good job of twisting her body around and trying to get that elbow under and get that shot reverse. But Omashola stands strong and gets those two hands high to force a missed shot by one of their best players.
15 seconds left in the second quarter. Alexis Black wants that last shot here. Unable to get it in the first quarter, but wants it here. Guarded by Granberry. Screen from Edwards. Still guarded by Granberry. Driving. A wild shot there. Able to get it back. And time is going to run out. Alexis Black unable to get a shot up. she's got 0 points on 5 shots tonight. A disappointing performance so far from the App State transfer, but Fordham has the lead going into halftime. They're up by 4, 18 to Loyola Chicago's 14, and a really scrappy second quarter. If we thought the first quarter was a bit of a defensive tussle, that pales in comparison to how the second quarter has gone and went. Only 5 points for each of the teams. No points in the final 3 minutes or so. Nathan, where's the offense gone?
Yeah, it's tough to say. Fordham scoreless in the last 3 minutes, 1 of 10, their last 10 shots. But the story of the game so far, which I thought it was going to be, was Alexis Black, because I haven't seen much of her, obviously, because of her injury. She's been great the last few games. But coming off one of the not even one of the worst, the worst ranked defense in the A10, the Ramblers are, of Loyola Chicago. Alexis Black is 0 for 4, 0 for 1 from beyond the arc, and she has 3 turnovers by herself. So most of anyone in this game so far on either team. But if you look on the flip side, Bassett, who is 15th in the A10 in scoring at 12.7 points per game, she's second among freshmen. She has only 3 points. She's 1 of 5. So credit to both defenses. Again, it's going to be a matchup nightmare for each of these top guards. But credit to both of these defenses. And again, in the second half, it's going to be which defense can withstand longer, Ramblers or the Rams.
Yeah, it's been a defensive tussle for sure here in the Bronx. Both offenses just unable to get really anything going so far. But we're gonna step away for a few minutes here before the second half resumes. Fordham up 18 to Loyola Chicago's 14, and we're gonna send it back to the Rose Hills studio for a one-on-one halftime report. We'll check back in with Ethan Wax, and we're going to send it to host Anthony Smith. Take it away, Anthony.
The one-on-one halftime report.
And we welcome you inside the Rose Hills studios for the one-on-one halftime report. Anthony Smith, joined by Ethan Wax after the end of a defensive first half in the Rose Hill Gym. Fordham leads Loyola Chicago by the score of 18-14. But before we dive in to the analysis of this game, Ethan Wax has a one-on-one scoreboard update.
Let's take a look at some women's top 25 action. Top 25 matchup as number 22 Maryland Terps lead Michigan State in East Lansing 20-17. Cincinnati leads Baylor 12-10 as number 15 ranked in the country is the Baylor Bears. Cincinnati, who is struggling mightily at 8-14, look to bear down and get this win for their program. We look at Nebraska traveling to take on the rival Michigan team that's rivals to the Spartans. The Wolverines are ranked 8th in the country. The game is at 7 o'clock. TCU, ranked 14th, and host the Cougars of Houston at 7:30. UConn, the top team in the nation and undefeated, 23-0, plays DePaul, who are just 2-11 in conference. Yikes. They have a tall task tonight at 8 o'clock. Number 20, West Virginia, have to deal with some altitude as they go to Colorado. Good luck. Number 2, UCLA plays Rutgers at 10 p.m. tonight at a sparkling 21-1, only lost to number 4, Texas at the time. That's all the latest updates. I'm Ethan Wax with your one-on-one scoreboard.
Well, thank you very much, Ethan. We'll dive a little bit into this game going on at the Rose Hill Gym right now. 18-14 score. The Rams lead the Ramblers. Very defensive game in the Rose Hill Gym. Ethan, just your general takeaway so far from these first 2 quarters of play.
Yeah, I thought it was definitely, as you mentioned, a very defensive game for sure. Overall, just 5 points in the second quarter for Fordham, which is not great at all. But they're holding Loyola to just 5 points as well in that second quarter. But they're shooting 7 for 26 is Fordham, which is not good enough, 26.9%. And just 5 for 19 is Loyola at 26% from the field. And I think Fordham needs to shoot more threes. Both teams have attempted only 6 threes. I wouldn't get crazy over the amount. I think you just have to look for the high-quality threes to be able to try and widen the gap and play good defense on the other end, limit turnovers. And we know turnovers has been Bridgette Mitchell's biggest concern, I would say. With 10 turnovers already in the first half, you got to limit those if you want to have a chance to win.
And this Fordham team, a great start in the first quarter, I would say, up 13-9 after the end of those first 10 minutes. Something we haven't seen from this Fordham team throughout these past couple games in A10 play. They usually dig themselves in a hole and find themselves having to try and mount a comeback. But something they've really struggled with is the second quarter of play and how it carries over into the rest of the game. Luckily for them, they played good enough defense to hold Loyola Chicago to 5 points as well, as you mentioned there, Ethan. But something really interesting that grabbed my eye, these last 4 minutes, not a single basket made from either team. Although Fordham was only scoreless for those last 3 minutes, they were 1 for 10 from the field compared to 1 for 6 for Loyola Chicago. What do both of these offenses have to do to try and get some more points on the board?
I would say look for high-quality shots, layups, get out in transition, get stops, get steals, drive and kick, good ball movement. All those types of things I think would help ease the tension and try and play less half-court offense, get out and run, and get some easy buckets is the name of the game, I would say.
And now looking at this Fordham squad a little bit, it was mentioned Alexis Black, 0 points in this first half, very unlike herself, shooting 0 for 4 from the field. Very used to seeing double digits from her throughout most of the season, but I think the injury just kind of getting into play there, maybe not used to her earlier stuff that we saw at the beginning of the season. And you kind of look at this big three from Fordham, the girls that really get a lot of points for this Fordham offense. I look at Alexis Black, Lucretia Edwards, and Karen Easley. 2 points combined from the three of them, only 2 coming from Lucretia Edwards. I think just need to see a little bit more of the big three going into the second half. They're really good behind the arc of shooting that three ball, especially Alexis Black and Lucretia Edwards. I mean, what do you want to see out of this big three that can really get this Fordham offense going in the second half?
Yeah, I think they need to be far more aggressive, not be reckless, but I think they also, in this game, if the shot is not falling, which it doesn't appear to be falling for them, I would say find Emma Wilson-Saltos. She's 4 for 5 from the field. Keep her at a high shot rate, because I mean she seems to be the only Ram that's really contributing significantly offensively with 9 points, half their points for that matter.
And I was gonna mention Emma Wilson-Saltos with 9 points, along with 5 rebounds as well. Really been the spark on this Fordham offense throughout that first half. Someone else that really catches my attention, Kayla Berry, although she has 0 points, 8 rebounds on the day today for Fordham. And then someone else as well, Tia Morgan, who is not really considered to be a part of that big three for this Fordham team scoring-wise, but has knocked down the only 2 3-pointers of the game for Fordham. A huge 6 points on the scoreboard for her. And just this Fordham team in general, as far as their team stats go, been rebounding nicely, 21-12, but just unable to get those second chance points. 7 bench points from this Fordham team compared to 0 for Loyola Chicago. So unsure of how this game is still 4-point margin, and Fordham's had the lead for most of this first half. I mean, what do they got to do here to put Loyola Chicago away, get their second A10 win, Ethan?
I got 2 words: make threes. Make threes, get on a run, and really try and extend this lead. You have to extend the lead, because I feel like Fordham's playing with fire right now, keeping Loyola in the game. They feel good on the road. The first 5 minutes of this third quarter is going to be critical for setting the tone when we get to starting the third quarter of play.
And as I mentioned earlier, this Fordham team has really struggled with the lack of points they get in the second quarter, how it kind of carries over into the third quarter, maybe affects their their runs, I should say, instead, and their scoring. But I think, as you mentioned perfectly, Ethan, this team needs to get on a run, try not to get too comfortable with the lead they have right now over Loyola Chicago, and try and close out the deal. This Fordham team, only 4 players out of the entire players that have played so far have scored points. Emma Wilson-Santos, Lucretia Edwards, Precious Omashola, and Tia Morgan. I think also you need to have a variety of scoring here within Fordham, make it much harder for Loyola Chicago to defend you. And I think it's also just about just getting off to an offensive spark here in this third quarter, trying to see if they can put the game away early instead of having it come down to those last couple of minutes, come out with a comfortable win at home before heading back on the road.
Yeah, don't be too predictable is another thing. You got to spread out the wealth, as you mentioned. Make everyone contribute, and then it'll be harder for Loyola to defend you because they don't know who's going to make the next basket.
Absolutely, Ethan. Well, we got an exciting second half on our hands, but that's going to do it for the one-on-one halftime report here from the Rose Hill Studios. Once again, the score is 18-14 with Fordham in the lead over Loyola Chicago. You'll hear from me and Ethan at the end of the game for the post-game report. But for now, let's send you back across the street to the Rose Hill Gym for the rest of the second half action with Thomas Tisdale and Nathan Rogers.
Want to be part of the Ramley? It all starts here. I'm Nathan Rogers.
And I'm Kate Cox, and we are 2 of your hosts for On the Hill, WFUV's exclusive podcast for all things Fordham athletics.
From the field of Moglia Stadium to the hardwood of the historic Rose Hill Gym, we've got you covered with the ins and outs of Fordham sports.
Every week, every play, every round. Tune in weekly wherever you get your podcasts. This is On the Hill.
I'm Isabella Terracini.
And I'm Barrett Spreitzer. We're 2 of your hosts for College Gridiron, the exclusive home for all things college football on WFUV Sports.
Join us as we break down the biggest matchups of the week, Heisman hopefuls, and college football playoff previews.
Listen in on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Welcome back in to the historic Rose Hill Gymnasium on a pretty chilly Wednesday night, if I say so myself, for an A-10 women's basketball game between the Fordham Rams and the Loyola Chicago Ramblers. Your score at the break is Fordham 18, Loyola 14. But before we start talking about what the second half is going to look like, we're joined yet again by the third person of our crew up here in the gymnasium, Mary Hannah Gallagher. You've been listening to the huddle. What can you tell us about this Fordham team?
Yeah, Thomas, so Fordham going into this next quarter has the lead, and there's been a really big point of emphasis about their reaction to Loyola's breakaways. They've been much quicker about getting back, communicating early, and cutting off those easy transition looks. But defensively, keeping that corner covered has been huge. It's been open at times earlier, and you're seeing the coaching staff really emphasizing getting on that and making that awareness known. But they want to prevent any easy kickouts for Loyola. On the offensive end, Fordham's doing a better job creating cleaner shot opportunities, better spacing, movement, and letting the offense develop instead of forcing anything early. It's all about execution and motion forward, no standing around. If you want to get open, you got to keep moving. The cameras have to be on you, and when Fordham does not, the offense flows. But through all of it, this bench has been locked in. Constant encouragement, energy, that communication and support has been huge for keeping Fordham settled and focused out there. When the shots don't fall, the effort inside has been relentless. This team's offense rebounding numbers are a testament to never giving up in the circle. And honestly, that last quarter was a masterclass in the Rams' persistence and physicality on the glass.
Thank you so much for that, Mary Hannah. And whatever Coach B has been talking about on containing this Loyola Chicago offense, it's certainly been working. Holding to the Ramblers to just 14 at the break is an impressive feat, regardless of who the opponent is. But Loyola Chicago has had a bit of a momentum on offense. And now I'm joined by Nathan Rogers. And we're just a couple moments away from tip-off here to start the second half. Nathan, what do you want to see from this Fordham team as we head into the second half and as they try to close out the victory?
Yeah, again, we're going to talk about the field goal percentage because Fordham's been struggling with that. You know, they're shooting at a 7 of 26 clip so far. That's good for just about 30%, and that's a measly 30%. But look, if you're Coach B, you'll take it any day if you're up by 4 in Loyola Chicago. So if you're the Ramblers and Coach Guth, can't let Fordham get too physical on you. Fordham's the more physical team, and Loyola Chicago just can't deal with their big. So if you're Coach B, you're going to take these shots while you can. Lean on your defense. It's been working so well so far. Holding Loyola Chicago to only 14 points in the first half is amazing. So, yes, you're not shooting great. Take those open shots when you can, but lean on your defense.
Yeah, Fordham forces another turnover there. The 12th turnover, I think, for Loyola Chicago. Alexis Black trying to get going here. Guarded by Kinnis. Is able to get around Kinnis there and able to draw the foul there. 16 seconds left. Now bumped up to 20 seconds. And I think Fordham really has to be aggressive in getting looks and quality looks early in the shot clock. I feel like too often in that second quarter, they were waiting until the 10-second mark to try to get something going on offense. Alexis Black, high pass there to Wilson Saltos. Hands it off to Tia Morgan. Guarded by Shivers. On the right key, takes the screen from Kayla Berry. Tia Morgan. Screen again. Trapped in the corner. Finds Wilson Saltos. Wilson Saltos driving. A nifty little spin move there from Wilson Saltos. She gets to the drop. Fordham up 20-14. 9 minutes left to play in the third.
And how about Emma Wilson Saltos making something out of nothing? She's leading the game in scoring so far for both sides of the court. She's 5 of 6 shooting, 11 points. Got to the line once. Great to see the X factor continue that momentum for this Fordham Rams offense.
Mobley guarded by Tia Morgan. Passes to Bissett at the logo. 4 seconds left. Bissett with the three. Off the front iron. Alexis Black pushing the pace. Guarded by Kinnis. Driving on Kinnis. Little shoulder bump there. Kayla Berry able to get the offensive rebound. Throws up a wild shot, and it's out on the Ramblers there. Fordham with another chance. They've eventually at some point got to find a way to knock these second chance points in.
Yeah, and again, another missed shot by Alexis Black. Very uncharacteristic for her. She's 0 for 5, 0 for 1 beyond the arc. Just can't get anything going. Good looks, though. Just can't get that touch off the glass she wants.
Tia Morgan finding Kayla Berry down low. Guarded by Bissett. Pass there. Hits Mobley in the back of her hands there, and she's able to take it. Pounce on the loose ball and drive for the easy layup there. Cuts the deficit to 4. 8 minutes to play here. Fordham 20, Loyola Chicago 16.
Yeah, that's just inexperienced guard at work there, even though she's a freshman. Keep your hands up at all times. It'll force a turnover even when your back's to the ball.
Wilson Saltos tries to fire a pass down low to Kayla Berry. Bissett tips it, and it's out on Bissett. Fordham has the ball. Morgan checks out for Karen Easley, and Lucretia Edwards checks out for Veljovic. Alexis Black finds Kayla Berry top of the key. Kayla Berry driving on Bissett. Forces up a tough layup there and draws the contact from Bissett. She'll go to line 4-2. And this is an area that Fordham has struggled at times, both getting to the line with some real volume and then also knocking down the shots when they do make it to the charity stripe.
Exactly, and also on the flip side of that, getting to the charity stripe, they also struggle with fouling too much and getting the other team to the charity stripe. So it's kind of flipped the script here. Not a lot of fouls, but just some very scrappy physical defense, and it's paid dividends for the Fordham Rams. Kayla Berry will knock down both of those, put up the Fordham Rams 22-16 with 7:45 remaining in the third quarter.
Kayla Berry's already got 9 rebounds. Career high is 11, which she had last game against URI, so just be on the lookout for that. Bissett guarded by Veljovic. Finds Shivers guarded now by Veljovic. Bissett guarded by Kayla Berry. Passes to Mobley. Drives there with her left hand and is able to draw the contact. Takes a hard foul there, but is able to draw the foul. Unable to get the shot to fall, so she'll go to line for 2.
Yeah, Coach B kind of wondering what the call there was because of her hands were so high. Ref kind of saying she bumped into her chest a little bit too much on that transition down into that near side low block. So Ramblers will have a chance to convert some 2 easy buckets here. Lacking offensive production so far as a missed shot by Mobley there on the line. Ramblers just struggling to get downhill against the Rams defense. And again, we're going to use the word suffocating a lot. Oh, she just missed another free throw.
She missed both, but it looked for a moment that Joku was going to be able to get the offensive rebound, but it goes out on Joku there, the redshirt junior from France, and Karen Easley now bringing it up for the Rams. Guarded by Shivers. Now at the logo, finding Alexis Black. She needs to get something going here. Guarded by Kinnis. Back to Easley, takes the screen from Wilson Saltos, kicks out to Veljovic. Veljovic driving baseline. Kayla Berry, long mid-range, rattles around. Karen Easley, one of the shortest players out there, able to get the offensive rebound. She knocks it home.
And how about Veljovic taking away that double team on the near side baseline, kicking it out to an open shooter, and then Karen Easley, the 5'8 freshman, grabbing that offensive board and getting those second chance points Coach B's wanted all season.
Kinnis tries the acrobatic shot. Alexis Black picks up the rebound, is able to go coast to coast, gets her first points of the night. Kinnis tries to answer with her own. Can't get it to fall. Fordham up by 10 now, 26-16. 6:16 left in the third quarter, and Alexis Black looking to slow things down a little bit.
And just like that, the temperature has changed here in Rose Hill and can go up by 10 in just a blink of an eye, and it's due to just hustle plays by the Fordham Rams.
Veljovic driving. Mobley just takes it out of her hands there. She'll go coast to coast, able to get the 2 and stop the bleeding for just a moment. Full court plus here from Loyola Chicago. Karen Easley bringing it up, guarded by Mobley. Now guarded by Shivers. Takes the screen from Kayla Berry. Karen Easley driving on, finds Kayla Berry, or finds Alexis Black. Alexis Black, little mid-range from the free throw stripe. Not able to get it to go. Karen Easley, open 3. Rattles around, but doesn't go home. Again, another offensive rebound. Kicks it out to Alexis Black.
2 offensive rebounds and 1 offensive half-court possession here for the Rams. With less than 8 seconds, here we go.
Alexis Black driving. Throws up a tough shot there. Looking for the foul. Shivers now pushing the pace. Finds Kinnis. Kinnis the 3. It's short. Wilson Saltos with the board. Fordham still up 8, 26-18, 4:45 left in this third quarter. Coach B wants a timeout, and Fordham able to get some shots to fall, and I think that's really what was missing in that second quarter. They were getting some open looks, but just weren't able to knock them down. But in the third quarter, they've seen the ball go through the hoop, and I think it's really built the confidence up for this Rams team. They're up by 8 against a talented Loyola Chicago team. And that's going to take us to the under 5 media timeout. Fordham up 26-18, 4:42 left to play here in the third quarter. We're going to step away for just a moment. We'll have the rest of the third quarter and the fourth after these messages. Don't go anywhere.
Hey sports fans, it's Bobby C. I'm the sports director here at WFUV. From live broadcasts of Fordham athletics to coverage of all the professional sports teams in the NYC, we've got everything a sports fan could ask for. Like talking sports? Check out One on One, New York's longest running sports call-in show, as well as our diverse collection of podcasts. If you're a Fordham student interested in joining our program, feel free to shoot me an email, bobbyc@wfuv.org. And as always, thank you to all of our listeners who support us every week. 90.7 FM is the home of WFUV Sports.
And we welcome you back to the historic Rose Hill Gymnasium. Your score with 4:42 left here in the third quarter is Fordham 26, Loyola Chicago 18. And during the break there, my co-host here, Nathan, just showed me a tweet that's saying Giannis followed Steph Curry on Instagram here. And the reason I bring this up, and I'm going to find a way to tie it back in here, he's going to be anxiously checking his phone for that Shams Charania tweet confirming Giannis to the Warriors. Shams Charania is
Don't jinx it.
Is a Loyola Chicago alum, so I promised that I'd bring it back to Loyola Chicago into this game. But Loyola Chicago, they need some spark, some to get going on offense here. They only have 4 points here in the third quarter. They only had 5 through the entire second quarter. What is going wrong for this Loyola Chicago offense? Is it more who's to blame here? Is it Loyola Chicago, or is it just the tenacious Rams defense?
Honestly, it's just credit to the Fordham defense. We've seen it all night so far. Bissett has been an absolute non-factor, whereas in every game so far, she's been a huge factor. Bissett dropped 20 and 23 versus SLU, which is a great A-10 team out of St. Louis, and they have one of the best freshmen, Kirkenmeyer, who's literally one of the best freshmen in the country on SLU, and Bissett dropped over 20 in each of those 2 games. So she's in 22 versus Northwestern, where they beat them 69-68, so that's a Power 5 win for them. Look, she can rise to the occasion, but Fordham does such a good job of locking down the opposing team's star player. We've seen it against Richmond. We saw it against Dayton. We've seen it against Rhode Island. Fordham does such a good job of creating those stars and making them a non-factor. And it's credit to Fordham's, again, like you said, it's their tenacious, noticeable defense tonight.
Alexis Black now with the ball top of the key, finding Omashola down low. Unable to corral it. Bit of a loop pass there from Alexis Black. And Loyola Chicago takes a timeout. They're gonna want to talk things over, maybe craft a play here out of the timeout to get Loyola Chicago just started. It's a bit like when you're going out in the morning when it's in winter and your car doesn't start. That's sort of the way I would describe this Loyola Chicago team right now. They haven't had that spark, and usually, like you mentioned, it comes from Bissett, who's an incredibly talented freshman. She had 18 last time out against St. Bonaventure, but Fordham has just found a great way of limiting her, and that's been a focus of this Fordham defense tonight and throughout the entire season, is limiting the opponent's top players. And this Loyola Chicago team is not going to blow you away with their scoring. They're not going to come in and drop 80 and 90 on your head. They're going to come in, they're going to slowly pull away from you, and then, by the fourth quarter, you're down by 10, the game's out of reach. But that certainly hasn't been the case tonight. Fordham's been excellent. And talking about the one stat where I'm looking at the box score here, one stat that's been jumping out at me all night long, like you mentioned, second chance points. Offensive rebounds, 14-2. I mean, that's simply incredible, isn't it?
It is, and that's a story of the Fordham Rams offense so far this season, with about 7 games to go until March. postseason play. I mean, look, they're a top 20 team in the country in offensive rebounding, but they're not so top 20 in the country in second chance points. And it's for a reason. They just can't get that separation after and go up and get a foul after they get that offensive board. They've been doing a better job of that tonight. The reason why they're up by 8 is because of that. But look, they're doing a good job of forcing turnovers. But the Ramblers, if you're the Ramblers and Coach Guth, you have to create separation beyond the perimeter. Get your bigs involved. And look, they're players that have been such a good factor so far. Bissett and Granberry have been doing nothing the past 10 minutes, even 20 minutes so far.
Yeah, they might as well not have even been out there. We haven't called their names a lot tonight, and when we have, it's been a missed shot. And I think that's really just unfortunate for this Loyola Chicago team. And one of the issues we've talked about for this Fordham defense, throughout the season has been that they've really been vulnerable down low. They can rebound well, they can guard the three well, but at times they can get players can just blow right by them, and they haven't been able to have, whether that's an intensity issue, whether that's an effort issue, whether that's the players they're guarding just being bigger and faster than them. You really don't know, but I think Fordham has brought that effort. It's now February. It's the final month. I think they've recognized the direness of the situation. If they want to climb the standings, they're going to have to start now. And Bissett inbounding a beautiful cross-court pass there from Bissett, able to find Mercil. Bissett at the Fordham script logo, takes the screen. Mercil corner three, and she knocks it down. Beautiful ball movement there from the Ramblers. They cut the deficit to 5. Fordham up 26-21. 4 minutes left to play in the third.
Yeah, Mercil is a very underrated player in this Ramblers team. She's a 5'9" junior from Canada, and she was a 3-team member of that Canada team. She's also a transfer from a nearby school, Monmouth, in Jersey, but she's such a reliable shooter. That play was drawn up just for her.
Lucretia Edwards, corner three, tries to answer back there. Omashola, offensive rebound, find Alexis Black. Back to Nyankin. Back to Alexis Black, guarded by Shivers. Taking away her right hand there. 7 seconds left, screen from Nyankin. Omashola down low, guarded by Granberry. Tries to get up a shot. Almost gets to the drop there. I mean, she was nearly horizontal by the time she got that shot off, but she's able to draw the foul, and she'll go to the line for two. Fordham 26, Loyola Chicago 21. 3:24 left here in the third.
And what Omashola did there, which is so strategic, is to use Granberry's size to the Rams' advantage. She's so big and tall. She's 6'4". She's the tallest player on the team and one of the tallest players in the A10. But to be able to wrap your arms around her and kind of fall away, draw a foul, is something that the Coach B will have to tell her team to continuously do throughout this whole game.
Omashola splits the free throws there. Bissett guarded by Mason Hill. Driving on her right hand. She tries to get going. Wild layup there, too strong. And Fordham looks to push the pace. Mason Hill driving on Mercil. Short there on the layup. And Loyola Chicago slowing things down with Mobley. Driving on Mason Hill. Right-handed layup off glass is good. Loyola Chicago only down by 4 now. Fordham 27, Loyola Chicago 23. 2:40 left here in the third quarter.
Yeah, like you said, Thomas, it's a game of defense, but look, if you're the Ramblers, you're an undersized, kind of less physical team than the Rams, but you're gritty. And if you get a couple points going here and there, again, defense will turn into offense, and it's a momentum shift for sure.
Mason Hill, corner three, is short. Omashola trying to get the offensive rebound there, but Mobley able to hold on. She's now guarded by Easley. 2:11 left. Fordham still up by 4. Mobley driving. Left-handed layup is good. Loyola Chicago now only down by 2. A couple of quick buckets for the Ramblers has them within striking distance.
And all of a sudden, Fordham's been scoreless in their last 7 shots. I just jinxed it, so there you go. But look, with under 2 minutes remaining, Fordham still having the Ramblers at their feet, but the Ramblers are in striking distance, and it's been all momentum, and the temperature is changing here in Rose Hill in favor of Allison Guth's team, the Ramblers.
Brissett driving there, loses control, finds Alexis Black. Alexis Black guarded by Mobley, now guarded by Granberry. Tries to get up a shot, too strong, and a foul underneath there. Omashola trying to get the offensive rebound. And they call a push there on the sophomore from London, England. And I think that's really just been the issue for Fordham at times. When you look at the scoreboard, they're up 29-25. A minute 19 left, is that, you know, they give up a quick run to the opponents, and Fordham looked to be in control for most of this third quarter. And now all of a sudden, it's an uncomfortable game.
And now mentally, if you're the Fordham Rams, you've lost your last 4 games. You're sitting 1-10 in A10. And when Loyola Chicago's creeping up on you in these last 12 or so minutes in the game, it gets very mental, more than physical of anything. And the fourth quarter, which is coming up in about a minute here, has been something that has been such a struggle for this Fordham Rams team. And Coach B has prided herself in letting her team know that you can't let your foot off the gas in that fourth quarter, even the last couple minutes of the third.
Mobley's really put the Ramblers on her back here, so to speak. She's just been playing with a new sense of aggressiveness and urgency, and she goes to the line for 2. She's able to knock both of them down. Loyola Chicago's now got 27. Fordham only up by 2 now, minute left in the third quarter.
Mobley is now the game-high scoring leader with 12 points.
Mason Hill tries to get that to fall, and another foul there. Called on Kayla Berry, trying to get the offensive rebound. And I think that's just been an issue at times for Fordham, is that, you know, when the shots aren't dropping, they aren't dropping for extended periods of time. And I think we've seen evidence of that here in the third quarter. You know, a dry spell for this Fordham team. Next thing you know, Loyola Chicago's right back in it with a chance to tie or take the lead here. Marcel with the 3. It rattles around, and it's good. Loyola Chicago storming all the way back. Has the lead now, 30-29, 40 seconds left here in the third.
It's their first lead since 5 minutes remaining in the second quarter. For the Ramblers, up by 1 with 30 remaining in the third quarter.
Tia Morgan finding Edwards down low, guarded by Marcel. Finds Wilson Saltos, stop score for the Fordham Rams. Wilson Saltos throws up the layup. Tia Morgan able to get the offensive rebound. She beeline for that ball coming all the way from behind the three-point line. Able to get it and draw the foul. Fordham a little bit rattled. 18 seconds left. Down by 1 here in the third quarter. They'll inbound it.
And if you're Fordham, you have a chance to remain with that lead heading into the fourth quarter. This possession is very valuable for the Fordham Rams. Try to get your bigs down low. They're starting with a large lineup here. Emma Wilson, Saltos, and Lucretia Edwards down low.
Karen Easley with the ball. Loses control of it. Tia Morgan now with the ball, guarded by Shivers. Finds Wilson Saltos. Gets up the shot. Just a little too strong there for Wilson Saltos. Unable to get it to drop. And Fordham, once up by 10, now down by 1, heading into the fourth quarter. And a little bit of a disaster here for the Rams to end that third quarter. They let Loyola Chicago hit a few shots. They forget to score themselves. And next thing you know, Fordham's down in a familiar position throughout the season. They're down heading into the fourth quarter. But before we head into that fourth quarter and talk about what should be an exciting finish for this women's basketball game, we're going to send it back to the Rose Hill studio for a one-on-one scoreboard update with Ethan Wax. Ethan, take it away.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Let's take a look at some men's A10 play. Let's start out with a tough loss last night for the Battle of the Rams as Fordham falls to a near top 25 team VCU 63-59. A difficult loss, but encouraging the amount of improvement which is the name of the game for these Rams this season, is staying competitive. Other action in the A-10 for tonight, 2 other games going on. St. Joseph hosts George Washington. St. Joseph's leads 25-15, and Jaden Glover Toscano has 11 of those 25 points for St. Joseph's. And the 8-1 George Mason Patriots, who fell only to Rhode Island and has a 20-2 overall record, hosts Duquesne. And in that game, George Mason leads 18-16 with 8:43 to go first half. That's all for now on this quiet day in A-10 play. I'm Ethan Wax with your one-on-one scoreboard.
Welcome you back to the Rose Hill Gymnasium ahead of this fourth quarter between the Loyola Chicago Ramblers and your Fordham Rams. And before we get into the action, we're joined yet again, as always, by Mary Hannah Gallagher. Mary Hannah, what do you have for us as Fordham looks to reverse the tide a little bit here and get a win?
Well, like you said, although the Rams lost the lead going into the final quarter at Rose Hill here, Fordham's been really focused on keeping that offense moving to support the basket. Everyone's staying active, ready to jump in and finish a play in needed. There's no watching when it comes to being under these baskets. It's all about involvement. And it almost feels like they've shifted gears in this one, like they're settling in and getting ready to drive this game home. But defensively, Loyola's man has started to take hold, but it hasn't really paid off yet. The coaches still look confident in Fordham's ability to control the pace and keep these Fordham Rams guessing. But you can see it in the decision-making to Fordham's not taking any chances. They're staying near the basket, following shots through the net, and making sure every possession is finished. And one thing that really stands out about this staff is that before sending any player out on the floor, there's a conversation. Whether it's from Mitchell or any of the assistant coaching, they tell them exactly how they can make a difference in that moment. Every choice from this bench has been intentional, and I'm sure it will continue to do so as they bring this home.
Thank you, as always, for that, Mary Hannah. Fordham looking to stop what is a 14-3 Loyola Chicago run over the last 6 minutes of play here. Almost a loose pass there by Easley, picked up by Tia Morgan, finding Edwards. Easley now called for the travel, and at times she's just been susceptible for that, but that is a really unfortunate turnover for the Rams.
Yeah, that's the third travel call this game, and it seems like every game, especially at home, there's always going to be a travel call, and that will force another turnover. Defense still man-to-man, which is surprising. They haven't gone to zone so far this whole game to open up this fourth quarter, but Coach B sticking with her players that have hot hands. No Alexis Black in the game so far to start this fourth quarter.
A travel there called by Hendricks, or called against Hendricks, I should say. Fordham down 29-30 with 9:30 left here in the final quarter, and I think one name that we haven't been calling enough has been Alexis Black. She's got 2 points up to this point. They're really going to need her to step up as she has the ball now. Lucretia Edwards finding Wilson Saltos. Tia Morgan, three. It's good! Tia Morgan, her third three of the night, has Fordham back on top. 32-30, 9 minutes left to play here in the fourth.
And how about that? 3 of 4 beyond the arc for Timo? My goodness. She had a couple step back Jays. That one was just a straight up 3. And now look, again, it's a momentum game for Fordham. They're up by 2 now with just under 9 minutes remaining. We'll get some subs going here to take a breather, but Tia Morgan has been the backbone of this offense, and again, day in, day out, it's that 2% mentality. Get 2% better every day, and she's a composure piece in those 2-guard lineups where she goes hand in hand with Alexis Black. Great to see, especially when Alexis Black isn't having a great game. To be fair, one of her worst offensive production games of the season so far, unfortunately. But Timo's right there with her to allow to open up that space and hit up those open shots that haven't been falling so far this season for the Fordham Rams.
Yeah, we talked about with Coach B before the game how important those bench points were. And Tia Morgan is a great example of that. She started tonight, but she's not unfamiliar with coming off the bench. And when you have a star player like Alexis Black, the shots just haven't been falling for her. And that's an unfortunate position. But Fordham, credit to them, during this game, they've been able to move away and shift the focus away from Alexis Black. It's felt like at times throughout the season that it was Alexis Black or nothing. But I think today, to be fair, they only have 32 points. But it's against a stingy Loyola Chicago defense. They've been able to find their scoring from other places. Tia Morgan, Wilson Saltos, Karen Easley's got 4 herself. And I think that's a really encouraging sign for Fordham, not just only in tonight's game, but also as we head into the final stretch and the home stretch of conference play.
Well, I think the whole narrative for this team in maroon and white for the past month and a half, dealing with injuries with Ugne, Liley, Alexis Black, and everyone just collectively kind of being in and out, it's been strength in numbers. People have to rise. It's the next man up mentality. And if you even just merely looking at the box score, you got more people contributing every single game than the previous one. And you love to see that if you're Coach B of the Fordham Rams, and especially with Timo shooting almost lights out from beyond the arc, kind of gives you breathing room, stop the bleeding when you're kind of down there, and especially down the stretch. Look for this Fordham team to keep that foot on the gas, on that accelerator in terms of intensity, energy. Keep grabbing those rebounds, even if you can't get those second chance points. Keep doing what you're doing. We said that all game, all night, and it's for a reason, because if it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And against a Loyola Chicago team that will give you some separation, will give you some breathing room, give what the defense gives you, and get downhill with purpose and knock down those shots with clean looks and just finish through contact. And with 8 minutes to go, you can only do what the defense gives you, and they just have to continue what they're doing.
Yeah, like you mentioned before the timeout, it's a game of momentum, and I think we saw, the two sides of that for Fordham in that third quarter, where they extend the lead to 10, they feel pretty comfortable, and then Loyola Chicago comes storming right back, makes it a competitive game, and Fordham, if they can piece together a couple minutes of momentum, can really be in the driver's seat heading into the final turn here at the Rose Hill Gymnasium. And it's Kinnis to inbound the ball for Loyola Chicago. Finds Mersil. Kinnis driving, unable to get to the fall. Tries to get her own miss, but out on Alexis Kinnis there, and Fordham able to force a stop. Tia Morgan picking it up. Loyola Chicago with the full court press. We see them use it sporadically here tonight. Tia Morgan still with the ball. Finds Alexis Black, guarded by Kinnis. Finds Wilson Saltos down low. Little jab step. Almost gets the layup to fall. So too strong there, and a foul called there against Kayla Berry. She's been very active on the glass. We told you to keep in mind if she would pass her career high in rebounds. She's only got 10 to this point. She needs 12 to set a new career high. Kinnis, guarded by Alexis Black, finds Mobley. Mersil, the three, too strong. Kayla Berry able to grab the rebound. She's got 11. That ties her career high and the season high. Alexis Black, guarded closely by Kinnis, driving. Down low, tries to make something happen. Thought she got fouled there, but a travel called there against the App State transfer. Things just haven't been able to get going so far for Alexis Black.
Yeah, when we talked to Coach B before the game, the scouting report in this Loyola Chicago Ramblers team was that they'd love to trap. They love to just kind of spiral down low and get in the Rams' head and whoever they're facing. They got to kick out the ball, and there the Rams failed to kick out the ball, force a travel down low. Credit to the Ramblers' defense, and Alexis Black had to turn the ball over there, and she's been struggling. She's 1 of 10, 0 for 2 from beyond the arc, but Kayla Berry has been great down low. Same with Emma Wilson-Salto. So they got to look to those two players to generate some offense.
Fordham still up by 2. 7:30 left to play here in the final quarter. Tia Morgan finding Kayla Berry. Ball gets poked free, but possession will stay here at the Fordham end of the court. Tia Morgan checks out for Karen Easley. Edwards to inbound. Finds Easley. 10 seconds left in the shot clock. Takes the screen from Berry. Finding Edwards. Edwards 3. Just too strong off the back rim there. Kayla Berry trying to get that offensive rebound out on the senior. But that's not a great look from Fordham standards. And you would have liked to see them get a little bit of a better shot there than a long-range 3.
Yeah, Loyola Chicago doing a good job of taking a page out of the Rams script so far and really winding down the shot clock. It'll force a Coach B timeout. She's hurrying her players over to draw something up here. But, again, Ramblers taking a page out of their opponent's book and forcing their players out on the perimeter to get a bad shot like Lucretia Edwards just took. It's, with 8 seconds on the shot clock, taking a long not open 3, is ill-advised for sure. But, look, Fordham's still up by 2. Coach B will take that any time of the day. 7:18 remaining in the fourth quarter. Let's see if the Rams can hold on to get their second A-10 win of the season and start the momentum going into March.
Yeah, these are the games that Fordham really does have to win. I think too often throughout the season, they've been close, but they just haven't been able to grind out the victory. And a testament and a consistent trait of a winning team with a winning mentality is you got to be able to find a way to grind out these victories. And Fordham, for the most part, has been unable to do that, but they've got a prime chance, a golden opportunity to do that tonight. And we talked about that diversity of scoring on the Fordham side, but when you look at the Loyola Chicago side, only 4 scorers. You've got Marcel with 2 huge threes in that third quarter. You've got Mobley, who's really been the focal point of this offense so far. Alexis Kinnis, who was really solid for that Loyola Chicago team for most of the first half, has cooled off a little bit here to start and to end the third quarter. And then Alexanne Bassett, she was supposed to be the player, the one who was going to get it done on the offensive end. She's only got 3 points tonight. 1 of 7 from the field. A disappointing night from her and from the rest of the players on Loyola Chicago. They just haven't been able to knock down the shots.
Yeah, like you said, it's been a struggle offensively for both of these teams. But look, again, it's been strength in numbers for the Rams. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players. That was tough. And play scoring for the Rams. But that's like what you like to see. And it's been the narrative ever since Alexis Black came out of that injury. They've been having to look at those other players to step up. And look, Coach B said just because Alexis Black is back and returning doesn't mean that we can't let go of that narrative of strength in numbers. And we can see it in the box score now. And how about Kayla Berry's 11 rebounds? That's been such a hustle player for this team. And Emma Wilson-Saltos was so great in the first half. Look for her to kind of heat up with the 7:18 left in the fourth quarter. She's such an X factor, like we said before. Coach B loves to lean on her down the stretch. And also Lucretia Edwards. Look, she's a shoot mentality player. Sometimes she won't hit a lot of threes, but her threes are timely nonetheless.
Yeah, she's been really essential for this Fordham team as they try to get their offensive end. And she really stepped up in Alexis Black's absence for those few games when she dealt with an ankle injury. But last time out against URI, she had 0 points. And she really didn't take enough shots. She only took 4 shots, 3 of those from behind the three-point arc. And they're really going to need – we saw her have a contested look a few moments ago, but they're really going to need her. If she gets an open look, she's got to nail it as Fordham looks to try to pull away from this Loyola Chicago team.
Yeah, and they got to get weary of sending them to the charity stripe. We're going to talk about it all the time, but you can't get easy buckets for a team that's been slow offensive production-wise. Don't let them get to the line and get those easy profit buckets. So keep doing what you're doing, but also keep crashing the glass. Fordham has 36 total rebounds, which isn't something shy of what they've been doing all season. But to look on the other side of the box score, Loyola Chicago only has 21. So the rebound margin, and Loyola Chicago has a -5 rebound margin, which is good for second worst in the A10. So no surprise there, but great to see for the Fordham Rams. Keep crashing the glass, getting those second chance points, but also time of possession. If you can wind that shot clock down and keep the ball away from the Ramblers, that'll be the key to success in these last 7 minutes.
Yeah, those offensive rebounds, I think, really have been key in keeping Fordham ahead of this Loyola Chicago team. Loyola Chicago's been more efficient from three. They've been more efficient from the field. They've taken about the same number of free throws, but that offensive rebound discrepancy, plus 14 offensive rebounds for Fordham, I think that's really going to be key. The shots aren't falling at times, and if Fordham can corral their misses, if they can draw some fouls and get to the charity stripe, that's really going to be huge for this Fordham team. The refs are talking about something. I'm really not sure what it is, but Loyola Chicago is going to have the ball to start here. They're down by 2, and if you're just joining us, it's been a defensive tussle so far between these two teams. And I was scrolling through the Fordham schedule of the past couple of years. The last time they scored less than 35 points, or the last time they scored less than 36 points was last season against URI. And going back a few seasons before that, they hadn't done it for many a year. So this is really uncharted territory for both teams, I would say.
Looks like Loyola Chicago will inbound on their own baseline here and try to set up a play to slice up the Fordham Rams full court press. Again, sticking to man-on-man for the Rams.
Fordham's been very consistent about that full court press. We've seen them at times drift away from that throughout the season, and when they do, decide to turn on the full court press, it just hasn't been effective. But Loyola Chicago has really struggled with that. They've turned the ball over 13 times, which is about on pace for what they do, but credit to the full court press for that. Nevaeh Dickman, who we really haven't seen tonight, is now in for the Ramblers. She finds Keenis. Back to Dickman. Guarded by Wilson Saltos. Finds Mobley. A hard screen there from Dickman. Alexis Black draws the illegal screen. And that's another turnover for Loyola Chicago. Fordham up 32-30, 6:59 left here in the final quarter.
And how about Alexis Black just laying her body out on the line for her team? And again, we talked about how it's a mental battle. You lost your last 4 games. You're 1-10 in conference, but nonetheless, Alexis Black keeping the intensity high, forcing a turnover for her Rams. Possession arrow in favor of Maroon and White to start out this last 7 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Tia Morgan finds Alexis Black in the corner. Alexis Black driving. Tia Morgan 3, top of the key. No good. Beset with the rebound. Finds Mobley. That's a great look for Tia Morgan. Mobley finds Shivers. Shivers slowing things down a bit. 6:30. Fordham still up by 2. Finds Beset. Back to Shivers. Back to Beset, guarded by Edwards. Mobley, guarded by Alexis Black. Driving on Wilson Saltos. Just runs around Wilson Saltos and able to get the layup to fall. Loyola Chicago tied the game up 32-32. 6:10 left here in the fourth.
Yeah, Mobley's up for 16 points. Getting up there on her career high. And she just kind of ran around Emma Wilson-Saltos. Emma Wilson-Saltos just didn't rotate in time, and she just blew right past her. Knotted up at 32 here at Rose Hill with just under 6 minutes remaining. But Mobley has been the game changer, the temperature changer, if you will, the floor general for this Ramblers team. She's 6 of 7, and she's got to the line 3 times. And again, she's been the difference maker and the reason why it's tied at 32.
Yeah, Fordham just really hasn't had an answer for her as Kinnis pounces on the errant pass there from Tia Morgan. And now Loyola Chicago has the lead. An errant inbound pass there from Kayla Berry. Kinnis slowing things down a bit. Loyola Chicago up by 2. 5.5 minutes left to play. Shivers with the ball, guarded by Morgan.
That was good for Rams' 16th turnover. That's Coach B's magic number she can't go over.
Mobley guarded by Alexis Black. Driving on Black. Tries to get up the shot. Foul called there on Black. Black looks a little bit exasperated about the call. And it looked like Mobley was about to get that to drop for the and one, but she'll go to the line. Like you said, for the 4th time now, she's really been aggressive, and she's really carried the load on offense for this Loyola Chicago team.
Yeah, and kind of a worst-case scenario for the Fordham Rams in the last 2.5 minutes. 3 ill-advised passes, and what did Coach B say before their game? Her key to the game was make the simple pass, and they're just failing to do so in these last 2.5 minutes, giving the Ramblers just easy points. Luckily, Mobley missed her first free throw, still has a chance here.
Able to get to the drop. I will say there's not a lot of Fordham students here, but there are a lot of kids right behind us, and I will tell you, they are loud, and I got to give them credit for forcing that first free throw miss. Fordham down by 3, 5:15 left to play. Alexis Black, guarded by Shivers, brings it across half court, passes to Easley. Easley driving, finds Edwards in the corner. Back out to Easley, to Black, to Easley. Black slowing things down. 10 seconds left in the shot clock. Edwards, 3. Rattles around, thought that was going to drop. It doesn't. Kinnis looking to push the pace.
In and out there for Lucretia Edwards, kind of an unforgiving rim here at Rose Hill for the Fordham offense, but they got to take the lid off the basket playing behind.
Kinnis now, guarded by Black. Finding Shivers. Bassett now, guarded by Wilson Saltos. Driving, finds Shivers. And a travel called there on Shivers. I've been baffled by the number of travel calls here tonight. I'm not sure if there's some in the water. If people are eager to go on vacation, I really don't know what's happening right now. But Fordham has a chance here to tie or to cut the deficit to 1. Down by 3, 4:30 left to play.
But look, you're playing from behind here with 4 minutes to go. Take what the defense gives you, and that'll be a jump ball. Kind of got tied up there with Kayla Berry and Keenis. So it'll be Loyola Chicago ball, far side inbound pass.
Yeah, that's a tough offensive possession for the Rams. Mobley bringing it up. Fordham needs another stop here. Down by 3, 4:13 left to play here in the 4th. Mobley driving on Wilson Saltos. Finds Bassett. Finds Kinnis now. In the corner, guarded by Edwards. Bassett finds Mobley on the Fordham logo. Trying to drive past Black. Kinnis now driving on Edwards. Blocked, rejected by Edwards there. Strong physical defense from the junior from Ohio. Great work there by Edwards. 4 seconds left in the shot clock. Going to be tough for Loyola Chicago to get a good shot off here. Mobley inbounding, finding Bassett. Kinnis now driving. Gets the shot up and gets it to drop. Kinnis shrugs in the direction of her bench. How she got that to drop, I have no idea, but they're up by 5 now. 3:30 left here to play in the 4th. Wilson Saltos in the paint. Little baby hook there from Wilson Saltos. Gets the drop. Loyola Chicago up 37. Fordham 34. 3:20 left here in the 4th.
Emma Wilson Saltos kind of shrugs her shoulders. She's so strong down low, and she's good up for 13 points, 6 of 10. All of her points basically coming from the paint. It's going to force a Allison Guth timeout for the Ramblers. But again, lean on your difference makers. If you're Coach B, lean on your hot hands. And for you right now, that's Tia Morgan and Emma Wilson Saltos again with Kayla Berry but you're playing from behind with 3 minutes to go. And if you're the Fordham Rams, keep crashing the glass and take the shot clock down for the Ramblers offense and give your offense a chance to breathe.
I will say that it was a pretty strong defensive possession from the Rams, the last Loyola Chicago possession, but just better offense there from Kennis, able to get the little mid-range to drop. And Fordham's just going to need more of that. Loyola Chicago happy to burn the clock with the lead, and Fordham's just going to have to find a way to force a miss and grab the rebound. And at some point, they got to get a shot to drop. Kennis to inbound. On the right side of the court, finds Brooklyn Vaughn. Brooklyn Vaughn hands it off to Kennis. Kennis guarded by Lucretia Edwards. Driving, 5 seconds left on the shot clock. Kennis bumped hard there by Wilson Saltos, and a foul called there.
Yeah, Coach B kind of looking for an explanation. He's right around the cursive F on the hardwood, and Emma Wilson Saltos was standing high with her hands out. Kennis did such a good job of selling that foul and getting that whistle to her favor. Look at a new shot clock with just under 3 minutes remaining. Ramblers up by 3.
Kennis driving now. Finds Vaughn. Back to Kennis. Top of the key. Little fake shot there. Able to find Vaughn down low, and Vaughn with the easy layup there. Loyola Chicago up by 5.
Yeah, now if you're the Rams, you got to play fast. You got 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining.
Edwards 3. It's short. Loose ball. Who's that off of? It's off of Loyola Chicago. Fordham's going to have another chance to cut into this lead for Loyola Chicago. 39, Fordham 34, 2:33 here in the fourth quarter. Fordham desperately needs something on offense.
See what they draw up here, but try to get down low, maybe draw a foul if you can.
Black guarded by Shivers. Takes the screen, now guarded by Kennis. Finds Kayla Berry. Wilson Saltos down low. Tries that same little baby hook, unable to get to fall this time. 2:10 left. Loyola Chicago up by 5. Happy to slow the pace down. Kennis, guarded by Tia Morgan. Takes the screen. Foul called there against Kayla Berry.
Yeah, and here in that fourth quarter, again, just slipping away for the Rams. Veljovic will check in for Kayla Berry, but just looking purely at field goal percentage like we always do, Fordham Rams only shooting 25% and allowing the Ramblers, who have shot a measly 30% all game, to shoot 57% from the field so far in the fourth quarter. You just can't let that happen if you're the Rams, but look, there's still time on the clock to get something going.
Shivers 3, and she gets it to drop. That might be the dagger. Loyola Chicago now up by 8, 140. Tries to find Wilson Saltos down low. Foul called there on the floor against Shivers, it looks like.
Some extracurriculars down there in the paint as each team kind of had their own team huddle after the whistle. And Wilson Saltos just walked right inside of the Ramblers huddle and disrupted them, and that's what she does mentally, just gets in their head.
Question is, will it be enough? Tia Morgan, almost a backcourt violation there. Scrappy, Shivers forces it, and a timeout called there by Coach B, a smart timeout there. Fordham just looking discombobulated, a little out of sorts. Here in the fourth quarter, they need an answer. They need a bucket. 90 seconds left. Fordham down by 8. They've got 34. Loyola Chicago's got 42.
Yeah, Ramblers shooting 62% from the field, and it's credit to their beyond the arc shooters. And when you leave shooters open beyond the perimeter and you can't close out the wings, and there's no vocal communication on defense, and you just can't sleepwalk in the last 5 minutes, and that's just what the Rams did. It allowed them to kind of open up the glass. Loyola Chicago winning the rebound battle 6-3, which they haven't done all game. It's kind of just falling apart here in the last 5 minutes. Look, they're still in striking distance. You got to score quick here with just under a minute and 30 seconds remaining. Timo to inbound the ball, 12 on the shot clock.
Yeah, a couple buckets, a couple stops, and they're right back in it. But they need something, and they need something fast. Wilson Salto is trying to find Edwards in the corner. Tipped there by Alexis Mobley. 5 seconds left here on the shot clock. Wilson Salto's asking for it. Finds Alexis Black. Guarded by Kennis, now guarded by Bissett. She's got to get up a three. Foul called there.
It'll be 2 shots, but I guess the refs kind of saw that her foot was on the line.
Yeah, a little bit unlucky there for that not to count as a 3-point shot and to have 3 shots from the charity stripe, but she'll go to the line for 2. Alexis Black only got 2 points up to this point. 1 for 10 from the field, 0 from 2 from the field, and she's got to get these dropped. She makes the first, cuts the deficit to 7, 1:16 left here in the final quarter. She hits the second. Loyola Chicago bringing in some length here, I guess, for the defense. A little bit of a weird half full court press there where the Fordham wasn't fully there. But Loyola Chicago happy to let the clock wind. Shivers. Now doubled by Veljovic. Held ball there called. And the possession arrows with Fordham. Heads up play there by Veljovic. Able to force the turnover.
And that's credit to Coach B. She was yelling at Veljovic and Edwards to trap. You got to trap. Don't foul because you're down by too much to foul at this point. But get that turnover, get that jump ball. Possession arrow in favor of maroon and white.
Alexis Black guarded by Shivers. They needed to step up here. Alexis Black, 3. It's good! Alexis Black halves the deficit, and Loyola Chicago needs a timeout.
And all of a sudden, it gets really loud here in Rose Hill. And like I said, Coach B's teams are never counted out. You're down by 3 with 49.5 left. And look, Alexis Black has really been a non-factor all game offensively. But all of a sudden, she has 7 points. She got to the line. She saved that offensive possession. Hits a dagger of a 3 far side in that wing corner. And look, Fordham's in striking distance now. Momentum in favor of maroon and white. Look at that, Thomas. All of a sudden, my goodness.
Yeah, quite the turn of events here. We thought Fordham was really out of it. They were down by 8 with about a minute and a half, but a key bucket there from Alexis Black halves the deficit. They're now only down by 3. They just need a strong defensive possession here. Let's see if they can, trap Loyola Chicago again, maybe force another turnover. I think the key is that they don't have to foul. Only down 1 possession. They can force a tough shot and Bissett to inbound for Loyola Chicago. Bissett can't find anyone. Turnover. Tia Morgan's got it. She's guarded by Bissett. Alexis Black now. 41 seconds left. Coach B calls a timeout. That's the ideal play there for Fordham. They don't lose any time. They're able to force the turnover off the inbounds, and now they can draw up a play to potentially tie this game.
How about turning worst case scenario into best case scenario? 5 minutes ago, you couldn't buy a bucket. You take the lid off the basket. All of a sudden, your best player is back after being injured for 3.5 weeks. She makes a dagger of a 3. All of a sudden, you're back in the game. Heartbeat's back on the floor. If you're Coach B, you take that smart timeout. You got 41 to work with. Take that shot clock down. Get a 3. But look, you take any shot that's open. Doesn't have to be a 3. You can even drive in, try to get a foul. But Loyola Chicago's going to do such a good job here of trapping on the perimeter. If you're the Rams, set your screens. You need off-ball movement. That's number 1 for me for this Rams team. You got to have that off-ball movement to open up those driving lanes. Thomas.
I think the key here, 41 seconds left, Fordham doesn't necessarily need the 3. If Loyola Chicago gives them an easy 2, they can certainly take that. I'm being told by our sidelines reporter, Mary Hannah Gallagher, that Coach Mitchell does want to avoid fouling, but I think Fordham here has a chance to tie the game, has the chance to at least cut the deficit here, and I think the person you want taking the shot is Alexis Black.
Yeah, and you still have some hot hands with Timo and Caleb Berry as well. But look, if I'm Coach B, I'm also looking at Emma Wilson-Saltos. She can make something out of nothing. Let's see what they have here on the inbound. But look, if you don't score in this possession, it becomes a free throw battle, and that is not what you want if you're the Rams at home.
Yeah. Tia Morgan finds Alexis Black, driving. Edwards in the corner, her three! It's good, it's waved off! It's waved off! Both of us are standing up. What is the call? It looks like she stepped out of bounds.
Oh, my goodness.
Unbelievable.
An absolute heartbreak here at Rose Hill.
And she swished that three. We talked about how timely Lucretia Edwards' threes can be, and she had a chance there. 31.6 seconds left. They're inbounding.
Now you have to foul.
Yeah, you got to foul. Wilson-Saltos falls to the ground there off the ball. Not sure what happened there, but I'm sure
I guess the ref saw her step out of bounds, but my goodness, that play was perfectly drawn up. You draw all the defenders inside to trap, and again, the key to the game was make that simple pass. They trap, you draw all the defenders inside, you kick it out to Lucretia Edwards, who hits timely threes time and time again in A-10 play. She hits it, but my goodness, what a heartbreak.
Yeah, just incredibly unlucky and a selfless play from Alexis Black. But Alexis Kin is going to go to the line. Crowd's getting loud. She misses the first one. That is huge for Fordham. That means they're going to continue to be in striking distance. Even second one, and she hits it. Fordham's got no timeouts. Down by 4, 29.4 seconds. Alexis Black has the ball. Driving on Mobley. Finds Edwards. Black, her three. It's good! Are you serious? Alexis Black cuts the deficit to 1. 22 seconds left. Loyola Chicago 43. Fordham 42.
Oh my goodness. Pressure makes diamonds. My goodness. Woo! That's Fordham basketball right there for you folks. And you got 22 seconds remaining. Way to get their get back. Ball don't lie exactly. And they really hit 2 back-to-back threes. One didn't count, but Alexis Black pulls up like Kevin Durant in the defender's eye and hits a near side wing shot that only Alexis Black can make in the A-10. And look, they're down by 1. And something to note, too, Loyola Chicago's in the bonus now, so you got to be wary. You got to have the trap defense. But sending them to the line is something you got to, I don't know. It's a game of defense. You trust your defense or probably do foul here if you're Coach B.
Yeah, you got to go for the trap here, and if it doesn't work, then you got to foul immediately. Key thing to note, both teams don't have timeouts, so if Loyola Chicago can't get the inbound off, they will be charged with 5 seconds here. No timeout to bail them out. And, oh my, we were talking about how defensive of a scrap this was, but it's really come alive here to end the fourth quarter. 13 points from each of the teams. Fordham down by 1, 42. 22 seconds left.
In such a lackluster first half, for such an energized second half, only 5 points for each team in that second quarter, but now Loyola Chicago inbounding the ball.
They're inbounding, trying to trap. Alexis Black does decide to foul Shivers. Shivers very quick, very agile.
Yeah, got a foul there.
Yeah, able to squeal out of the trap there pretty easily, and she'll go to the line. She's about a 66% free throw shooter from the line, and the crowd behind me, I'm sure, is going to do everything in their power to get it to drop here.
But here's the thing, too. If she makes both of these, you still have a heartbeat. You're still okay.
She makes the first one. That makes it a 2-point game. 19.4 seconds left. No timeouts for Fordham, so the action's going to happen, and it's going to happen fast. Her second free throw. She hits it. Fordham needs a three. Loyola Chicago bringing in subs. I think it's going to be in Alexis Black's hands. And if she can make that extra pass, she undoubtedly will. Alexis Black, guarded by Kinnis. 15 seconds left. Still guarded by Kinnis. 10 seconds. Finds Edwards. Edwards, her three! Off the back rim and no good. And Fordham letting costly seconds drain off the clock there. And Fordham, they had a shot there. They had a chance. Maybe that's not exactly who you want taking the shot there, but Lucretia Edwards, she is known for making those timely threes, just unable to get it to fall. And Kinnis on the line, 2.7 seconds left, a chance to put this game out of reach. Her first one is good, and that might be the nail in the coffin for the Rams. Her second one is good. Loyola Chicago up by 5. Karen Easley run the court, gets the shot up, and that's no good. Fordham falls to 1-11 in the conference, starts February with a loss, but oh, how close did they come tonight? A chance there to tie the game at the end with about 5 seconds left. Lucretia Edwards unable to get the three to fall. And that's Fordham women's basketball for you this season. Just not enough to get the result, but showing a lot of fight.
Yeah, I just can't hold on there. But again, credit to the effort and tenacity of this Coach B team. But here's the thing. You did such a great job defensively for 3 quarters, and you can't expect to win that game with Loyola Chicago shooting 62% from the field, kind of hitting some tough buckets there. Fordham did such a good job of finding some separation, getting that breathing room, not getting in foul trouble, anything like that. But Loyola Chicago just kind of shot themselves out of the building, shooting 50% from beyond the arc as well, and winning the rebound battle, which they hadn't done the whole game. But again, with a Fordham team without Ugne Sertuteta, who's one of the best field goal percentage shot makers in the A10, she was top 10 before her injury. It definitely sucks, and it's a heartbreak here for the Fordham team with 7 games remaining. They go to LaSalle in a couple of days and then SLU next Wednesday. So a little bit of a road trip there, starting down the I-95, but definitely a tough game. You played well if you're the Fordham Rams. Something to be excited about, is your energy for the last 7 games and momentum going into the A10 tournament. Everyone makes it, which is the good part. So you got something to work on, especially in that fourth quarter, just making those open shots. And, it's not the end of the world, but look, hats off to Loyola Chicago for keeping their foot on the gas in that fourth quarter and not looking down with their eyes still on the basket.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people will look at the final score and think it was another one of those games where Fordham just really wasn't that competitive. But I think that just doesn't really tell the story of the fight that we saw from the Rams tonight. I mean, they were in the driver's seat for most of that third quarter, for some of the second quarter, and they had chances in that fourth quarter. And in the end, it was just those results are ones that go 50-50, and Fordham, too often than not, has just been on the losing end of those. And whether that's a systemic issue and Fordham just not being able to close out those winning games, or whether that's just being unlucky. But I think the silver lining for this Fordham team is that Loyola Chicago is 5th in the A10 right now, looking to be in the top 4, and Fordham contended with them. And then Fordham showed fight, and that was something that we haven't been able to say a whole lot for this Rams team. But that is going to do it for us here at the Rose Hill Gymnasium. For Mary Hannah Gallagher and Nathan Rogers, I've been Thomas Tisdale. Thank you so much for joining us here for this matchup, frankly exhilarating matchup between the Fordham Rams and the visiting Loyola Chicago Ramblers. And for one final time, we're going to send it back to the Rose Hill studio for a one-on-one post-game report We'll check back in with Ethan Wax, and I'm going to send it to host Anthony Smith. Take it away, Anthony.
The one-on-one post-game report.
And we welcome you back into the Rose Hill Studios. Anthony Smith. Across from me is Ethan Wax as we have you covered for the one-on-one post-game report. The Fordham Rams dropped this one 47-42 in another heartbreaking A-10 loss. But before we go over this game, Ethan has his last scoreboard update of the night.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Top 25 action for the men as Houston cruises currently leading UCF 39-27 with 17:16 to go in the game. Potential upset alert, Minnesota, who's unranked, leads number 10, Michigan State 43-38 with 14:26 to go in the game. Louisville leads with their number 24 ranking 43-39 over the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. At 9 o'clock tonight, Illinois hosts Northwestern. Illinois, number 5 team in the country. BYU, number 16, visits Oklahoma State tonight at 9 o'clock as well. We have Gonzaga, the number 6 team in the country, who's 22-1, and their only loss of the season was to Michigan, who was 7th ranked at the time, and lost by 40, but are 10-0 in conference. They visit Portland at 10 o'clock. And to wrap up your top 25 action, we have number 20, Clemson Tigers, going to Stanford to play the Cardinal at 10 o'clock tonight. That's all for now. I'm Ethan Wax with your one-on-one scoreboard.
Thank you, Ethan. Great job, as always. We'll shift over to this Fordham women's basketball game a little bit now. Happened down in the Rose Hill Gym, just across the street here from the Rose Hill Studios. A 47-42 loss for Fordham against Loyola Chicago. Fordham drops another Atlantic 10 game, still only with one Atlantic 10 win on the season. Story of the game here tonight, just a lot of runs for both teams here, both scoring and just without a basket. And for Fordham, it was really on and off throughout this whole entire game. The second half, wheels started to fall off a little bit, especially in that third quarter. Fourth quarter came alive a little bit, but it was almost too little too late for this team, Ethan.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Too little too late. The threes kind of went down a little bit too late. I thought defensively they were excellent. 47 points should be good enough to win, but when your offense is not up to par, only shooting 27% from the field and 5 for 18 from downtown, you still shot 12 more threes in the second half, which I liked, but it was just too little too late. No doubt about it. And the turnovers were a definite big problem today, with 19 turnovers, up by 3 from Bridgette Mitchell's 16 or more. So it's a tough loss. We'll see if they can bounce back.
Tough loss indeed. These turnovers, 19 for Fordham, 17 for Loyola Chicago, but still 19 is a pretty impressive number. And as far as the players on this Fordham team, Alexis Black seemed to start coming alive later in that game in the fourth quarter, knocking down a couple threes. But as we mentioned before, a little bit too late. Would love to see her try and play a full performance instead of, coming alive in that fourth quarter. I mean, when they did need her most, she came in through, but just really didn't have a whole team effort here tonight. I mean, Emma Olsen-Saltos, 13 points, was also amazing. Tia Morgan had three three-pointers here tonight with 9 points, but besides that, not really a lot of variety going on within this Fordham offense. Same goes for Loyola Chicago, so really interesting on both sides here. They both really just struggled to find an offensive identity here tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Loyola Chicago only had two players in double figures tonight, and they got away with it. Meanwhile, Fordham was only with 2 players in double digits tonight. Was really too predictable, it felt like, and their star players really didn't play up to the living. Your second highest lead scorer. Alexis Black just 3 for 12 from the field. Emma Wilson-Saltos led the way with 13 points and was an efficient 6 for 11. So I would have liked to see her play a little bit more. She only played 30 minutes tonight. I would want around 35 minutes potentially for her because I think she was the real difference maker. Lucretia Edwards, 1 of 9 from the field. So some of the guys just not stepping up down the stretch, and disappointing loss, no doubt about it.
And related to some of these other players on this Fordham team, 25 minutes for Tia Morgan here tonight, went 3 for 6 from the field. Those 3 shots, obviously, I mentioned, were from distance. Would have loved to see her get a little bit more minutes for this Fordham offense. Seemed to be an offensive spark beyond the arc for this Fordham team. Besides that, I mean, you look at Lucretia Edwards and Karen Easley, 2 players that have really stepped up with the absence of Alexis Black and have slowly been trending down with the return of Alexis Black and not really seeing as much offensive opportunities. And you kind of see that more with Karen Easley, 4 points today, 17 minutes. And then as far as Lucretia Edwards, she took the shots, just unfortunately able to fall in for her. And it's just going to be interesting to see if these players are able to bounce back in games down the future. But, I mean, time is running out here for this Fordham team. 7 Atlantic 10 games remain, and they're towards the bottom of the Atlantic 10 standing. Got to start winning some of these games soon.
Yeah, no doubt. And I would have liked to see Tia Morgan shoot a little bit more. 6 shots is okay. I would have wanted her to sort of force the issue a little bit more, shoot more threes, and I think maybe you're coming out on the other side of this with a win. But I just felt like down the stretch, Fordham was just, they got the threes, but it was just too little too late, as we mentioned from the top.
And I think this is a loss that's really going to haunt the Fordham Rams for the rest of the season. A game that I feel like they should have won, and I think they know that too. I mean, led for a decent amount of the game. You look at the rebounding here. I mean, they out-rebounded Loyola Chicago 37-26, 17-3 on the offensive glass. And you look at the second chance points, only 8-4. So those second opportunities that this Fordham team gets, they weren't able to capitalize here tonight. That could be the big difference in why it was a 5-point difference here today.
Yeah, down the stretch, they just couldn't execute. Yes, they got the offensive rebound 17-3, which is staggering, but you got to execute and score off those extra opportunities if you want to come off winning on the other side, for sure.
And I think with this Fordham team, it's all about playing a full 40 minutes as well. Didn't really see that from this Fordham team as much. That first quarter we mentioned, the 5 points in the second quarter, carried over a little bit into that third quarter. Loyola Chicago went on a run after Fordham had a 10-point lead, and they started to feel comfortable, and then all of a sudden they give up that lead, and then they start going back and forth a little bit, ultimately unable to hold on in the end of it, and something that really needs to improve on going forward. As we mentioned, time is running out before the A10 tournament approaches. Fortunately for them, every team does make it, but Fordham would like to have that bye week instead of playing in that last 4 teams of the Atlantic 10 tournament, trying to, me and Kurt Sippel talked about this last week at a game. They would have to leave earlier. It would just be a whole bunch of stuff. Instead of, if they get that bye, they can stay home here in the Bronx, prep for a couple more days, fly out a little bit later. But at this point, doesn't look ideal, but definitely want to start seeing some more wins for this Fordham team.
Yeah, honestly, yes, you want more wins, but, I mean, 1 win is flat out, I feel like, unacceptable. I get you're trying to build, and it takes time to develop and get a winning culture here, but I feel like you not winning can derail the locker room for sure. And I think if you start stacking up some wins, I think that would help with the team's morale and get them going in the right direction.
It's all about getting hot in the right time, especially as March approaches. We'll see as we head down the season a little bit more if Fordham is able to click, find the rhythm before they enter the A10 tournament. But for now, that's going to do it for our coverage of Fordham women's basketball. Again, Fordham with a 47-42 loss to Loyola Chicago. The Rams resume action Saturday afternoon in Philadelphia for a rematch against LaSalle. We will have you covered once again on WFUV Sports, but for now, special thanks to our broadcasters Thomas Tisdale and Nathan Rogers, our sideline reporter Mary Hannah Gallagher, our in-studio squad Travis Hayden on highlights, Ari Patel, our engineer, our producer Hope Nolan, Ethan Walks alongside me, who also did updates for the night, and I am Anthony Smith. Bobby Chaffardini is our sports director, and Fordham Women's Basketball is a production of WFUV Sports.